Thank you. Is there any apologies or declarations of interest, please? Congratulations. No, Bill holidays. Rachel's coming. She's just to say that she's been held up in the events. So I've got a chairperson's announcement here. There is one item that is not on the agenda that will be discussed later in the meeting. The item is setting of Land Drainage Committee meeting dates 2025. This item was not on the ordinary agenda due to the delay in collating appropriate dates with the committee chairs. This report cannot be delayed as it will not give enough time for the committees to have their two per year meetings. Thank you. So we now come to the speakers. So I'd like to call on Dylan Stevenson, please. He's speaking on behalf of the Kaitaia Primary School in relation to ITC reports. So welcome to the college.
I'm usually standing here, I know most of you because I'm usually Awanui, usually Sports Complex. Grateful, thanks for the job that's been done out there, except they still can't start their training. Okay, Kaitaia Primary is celebrating 150 years, and the birth of Kaitaia Primary is virtually the birth of Kaitaia. This can't be a reunion because people from 150 years can't be here, but what we've done is make this reunion about the kids. I spent all last year learning about the actual histories of this whenua, the actual stories about the people who lived here. But for the school, we need a venue so that we can host the whole community, plus our school kids, plus their families, all in the school grounds. I don't know if you know, but the Whanua District Council map cultural and significant, historically significant places in Kaitaia. There's nothing on Church Road, except for one Norfolk Pine. So we want to make that right. So the kids want to teach their families about what actually happened on this land. In fact, cutting the river off hand on the community. I don't know if you realise that when they changed the path of the river, they took out urupa, they took out villages, they took out par sites. And so the kids have been learning all about this whenua. And the people have been there before and the stories that happened, the place names, the landmarks. And I need a venue so that they can show the community what's going on. So that they can take pride in their historical past. Because Kaitaia is a unique confluence of cultures, we all know that now. So one of the finales in this marquee that you're going to buy for me is actually the history, right, from Maui pulling up, getting the jawbone all the way to all the people arriving, the waka the Māori. Okay, so I need a venue for that big enough. I have asked for the big size marquee from you guys because the land information thing has nothing on the school anymore. So pretty much every major stormwater, septic, water mains go through the school somewhere. And I would hate to be putting stakes through the ground. So I need a freestanding. So that was one thing. Yeah, so I need a marquee, and I also just want about $1,000 so that I can get our book properly formatted for our histories. It'll probably be one of the only school histories that actually has got the Māori perspective in as well, not just the Kaitaia Pākehā surnames. Anyway, we part on. I'm Rachel. Hi. That's all you can.
Is there any questions?
Just one question, Darwin. Is the book retail to the public? Available to the public?
Actually, I want to publish it for free.
Yeah,
I can
okay.
go out to the community for free.
Yeah, okay.
I just need to pay for the formatting bit.
Yeah.
But all the rest of it, all of those costs are covered. I just need another resource
Yep.
that says about what actually happened in this place without ignoring some bits and highlighting other bits. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, it's free. So registration was kept to a minimum, and the registration is really for the after hours liquor events, not the on-school events. So the on-site events are for pretty much the whole Kaitaia community. and I let my kids loose on them, so we guided tours and play knuckle bones with them, go back old school, bit of fake dances, all just teasing.
Yeah.
Well, Kato,
I just had a question as well. Given the proximity of the school to Te Ahu,
Yeah.
And it being, you know,
it used to be this was on the side of the road.
yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
Instead of the marquee, I guess that's the question, like why the marquee instead of in Te
Because I
Ahu?
can have it there all week long, and I can feed and do maraaki there all week long without extra costs. Yeah. So we're doing Sunday at the church, Monday at school, Tuesday at school, Wednesday at school, and Thursday at school. So it's a 4-day hire.
Mhm.
And the last reason for the marquee is that Thursday is a big finale.
Mhm.
So we get all the old ex-students and staff coming back, plus the current whānau, plus the community, which is actually quite a big crowd.
Mm.
Yeah, I know.
I did go quite hard for them.
Excellent.
I can actually honestly say that I did, yes.
Quite a few people did, pretty much. We want to make it a like Kaido Rugby are hosting the first night, but they take the cash, make the food money. But we're only providing the 100 people for the liquor licence crowd. Yeah.
Are you going to bring back the 1983 Multicultural Club?
Is that the one Charlie was in? I was
Yes.
thinking about putting that in a photo
I
board.
just found my old photo of us all and it was so cute.
All in the little,
Yeah.
is that Charlie's group?
We had the little new blue
Yes.
and the
I
little
have that
flowers and the
photo.
feathers, the blue
I have
feathers.
that photo. I was going to give it to Carl to actually put on a photo board.
Great memories of that school. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, and we'll be considering your application further on in the meeting, Joanne, and you'll be informed of the decision.
Excellent. Thank you. Is that me?
I just had a supplementary question just out of interest. How many kids do you school?
280, just about 90 at the moment. It's fluctuated. We had 50 enrolments in the last 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
Trying to make the school back community orientated. Oh yeah, I'm just acting too lucky at the moment. Okay,
Thank you so much.
You got your detail. It's just, oh, they find that you.
Jesus.
Right.
There is Anastasia Potter online, so we will take her next. And she's talking about the Youth Line Auckland Charity Trust. I can see the 6 on our agenda. Welcome, Anastasia.
Kia ora koutou, ko Anastasia toku ingo no hoki anga hou, kei tamaki makaurau e noho anga ki mahi a hou ki Youth Line. Hi everyone, my name's Anastasia. I actually grew up in Hokianga, but I live in Auckland now, and I work at Youth Line as the GM of fundraising and marketing. Thank you so much for your time today and having me speak to our application on behalf of Youth Line. A little bit about Youth Line. We've been operating for 55 years. The cornerstone of our service is a national helpline which offers mental health support to young people aged 12 to 24. And we are proudly the only youth-focused mental health service that's actually available 24/7 anywhere in the country, including far north. I grew up in Hokianga and I went to school at Northern College in Kaikoui, and I'm still very closely connected to Tautokoro. My family and a lot of my friends live there, and I'm very aware of the lack of mental health services available for young people. Transport is a real challenge. There's a lot of communities that are geographically isolated. And I also know that the suicide rate in Northland is still 33% higher than the national average. So the Youth Line helpline can really go some way to help plug that gap and meet that demand, and being a service that's available anywhere. I don't think there's any denying that the youth mental health crisis is getting worse. We're seeing increased demand daily on the helpline, and we're also seeing a real increase in the severity of the issues facing young people. A third of our calls now are considered high risk, so young people that are either suicidal or self-harming or experiencing abuse. So it does feel like the situation is getting worse rather than better. And unfortunately, you know, in the face of that increasing demand, we've experienced a significant reduction in funding. So over the last financial year, we've had a 42% decrease in funds across the board. So that some of that is government funding, some of that is corporate partners reducing their funding, significant decrease in grant funding, and also just a decrease in funds from the public due to the cost of living crisis. So we're finding it really quite difficult at the moment to get the funds we need to keep the service running in a sustainable way. And it is really a critical service for rangatahi, especially in rural areas where it can often be the only service that's actually accessible. So today we are seeking $6,000 in funding that goes towards the operating costs of the helpline. You know, the overall cost of the helpline currently are about $3.69 million. So it's no small feat to keep that running, and we are, you know, reliant on funding from various community groups as well as the public to do that. So yeah, I just wanted to thank you very much for your time, and I hope you're able to support this application so that we can continue to deliver this helpline service and be there for the rangatahi of the whānau. Ngā mihi nui. Are there any questions?
Ngā mihi mō tō mahi.
Any questions for Anastasia? No. Thank you so much, Anastasia, and we'll be looking at the application further on in the meeting, so you'll be informed of the decision later in the day.
Right. Thank you so much for your time. Cheers. Bye-bye.
So now we have Sharon Norman speaking on behalf of the Te Haupu Sports Recreation Club.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to the table.
I was here 4 years ago, so I'm a bit nervous because I'm a bit out of practice, but Te Haupu has changed. 4 years ago we got funding from them, so we re-roofed our premises. We had relined. We've done so much up there. We've changed the community. Last season we entered 4 rugby teams in the J&B, first time in 25 years. So, but with that, our children, they loved playing in the mud and all the knee-high water on our rugby field. So we're seeking funding for drainage for around our premises. Our rugby field is also used for the landing zone of the rescue helicopter. Yeah, we've been working really hard at it, and we've got to a stage where we're fundraising all the time to do better and provide more for our children and all of Te Haupu really. We've had so many events. Now it's regularly booked out because of the state of the place now. Yeah, it's quite exciting space for us really. And yeah, so this year we've also got a senior rugby team entering the round. So we planted the seed with the juniors last year and now it's seniors. So this year. So yeah, we're just in the process of changing our old power poles to new poles for lighting for the field as well. So yeah, anything that you can help us with in the way of funding for the drainage would be really appreciated because things cost so much. Yeah. Any questions?
Yep. In your application, have you targeted local drain diggers, for want of another word?
Yeah, so we've got one up there, which is Pi Lazarus. We do have Mita Cooper and Final Threading, but they are all tied up with all the papakainga sort of thing that's happening to Paki and Rarawa. It's quite hard to get an itemised quote from anybody to up there. This is what's getting them up there. It's a good hour and a half to get someone there.
So Pi's the local, and are you just hiring? Is he just hiring the digger? Sorry.
He's got his machinery up there at the moment. He owns property up there. So he comes and goes with his digger. So he said if he's in the area and we manage to get the funding for it, he can do it for us. Yeah.
And will that solve the problem, Sharon, do you believe?
Yes. Yeah, because it hasn't been drained, I would say, for at least 25 years.
Yeah, it is for sure.
Yeah. We've actually got quite a big area behind the rugby field that we're hoping to get drained as well for a second field. Because when you've got the junior rugby, you should really have two fields so that they're all done and dusted by lunchtime. Whereas we were having to start quite early and try and get them through by lunchtime.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a long way for people to come to, if they've got their kids in under sevens and waiting for an under 13s game.
Yeah.
You know, it's a long time for them. So
When you're wet.
that's on the wish list in the next year or two to get that second field operational. But, yeah, a lot of the scrub's been cleared in the back paddock. Yeah.
Can I ask who owns the land?
It's actually community owned. Yeah. Yeah. We managed to find the old deed from way back. Yeah. So it's actually signed by 6 families. Yeah. And in brackets, all of Te Hapua community.
Lovely.
Well done, Sharon.
Yeah. So yeah, very passionate about it. I live and work in town, but every weekend I'm up there with my family. So, and we've noticed a massive change in the community. Yeah, massive and really positive.
And it has all centred around the club.
It's all around the club. So we're getting more bookings in the marae because the marai's falling down. But I said I'm not helping with that. My idea is I want to get the club going. We need to start with our babies, and that's the building of the community.
Yeah.
So before this all happened, we had really bad vandalism. We've had nothing. Because the first thing we say at rugby training is, this is your club. This is your whare. You've got to look after it. So, yeah, it's really cool.
I just had a couple of questions. So you've said that the building's not just used for sports, it's used for other uses as well.
Yeah, so after our renovation with our new roof and flooring, we had a 50-year wedding anniversary, which is pretty special. We have health days, is for all sorts of types of things. Sports recreation, we've got the Waka Armour wanting to start. I did write it down because I knew I would forget that. We have exercise nights with the ladies. We had our Christmas parade this last December. Hunting and fishing competitions, christenings, reunions, unveilings. We've held a few Kuya Kaumātua days as well. Yeah.
So it's not just a sports centre.
It is a community hub. Yeah.
And the other question I had was about the community, because you said, you've noticed a change. It seems like a lot of people are moving back
Yes.
to the north, particularly
Particularly out there.
the increasing number of housing.
Yeah, there's a lot happening up there. There's so many cabins happening up there. It's really busy over the summer. We held our annual bombing competition. This year we had 71 children and 71 adults in horrendous conditions, but hey, we got through there. But there's more and more people coming home. It's an easy way of living, after the whole COVID shutdowns, people are just want to get home. They want to come home.
Susan, any further questions? Sharon?
Oh, thank you so much, Sharon.
Good to see you, Sharon.
I was going to make a big presentation like I did last time. I thought, no, I know you've got a bit of a whānau here. So,
No, that's cool.
Good on you, Sharon.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
We'll be looking at the application further on in the meeting, so we'll be informed of the procedure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good, Sharon.
I'll get the door. Thank you. See you.
Oh,
Oh. Good. Here we have, Wihihira, here, Wihihira, talking on behalf of the Okanoni Area School. Festival. Yeah.
Last minute phone, so that's my sister's got to Auckland this morning. So she's asked me to step in. So we're just looking at funding to help with the Tātuka Festival and the Jubilee, which is happening in April. So there's around 25 to 30 schools participating, about 1,500 performers, and around 10,000 whānau supporters throughout the 3 days. Yeah, so 50 years this has been running for, so Auckland hosted the very first one, and now they're hosting the 50th, and it's also their 50-year anniversary for the school. So pretty much we're asking for 10,000. We are still in the process of getting all our funding applications approved, but and I do have a list here of what Whaiho, because we've got a breakdown of what they used their funding on last year. Yeah. 89.
Is there any questions for him?
Yes, have you applied to the Kaikauri Hokianga Community Board for funds?
Yeah.
yeah.
Says they got 10,000.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
When's their meeting?
Through the chair, is how many schools from Te Hiku will be attending the festival?
I'm not sure exactly. I think they're still waiting back for some of the sponsors, but I know that there's most likely, I think, Niwa's in there. Middle.
Yeah.
Kata College.
Yeah.
Taika is usually one of them. So it's a secondary school, so
Aye.
Tātukere,
Cool.
secondary schools.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The chair can ask, you're not combining it with the reunion.
Yeah, so it's over 3 days. So the 9th and 10th is the festival, then the 11th is the Jubilee.
Kia ora, just play. Kia ora tia. Yeah, I'd just like to tautoko the festival, the 50th anniversary. Last year it was at
Okay.
Okaiho, and there's a huge amount of groups, and what I particularly like is that it was started by Sir James Henare as a non-competitive event, and so instead of having that sort of highly competitive level, people are encouraged to go whether they're fantastic or not. And there's anyhow, I know that the kura up here that do attend, do a lot of prep for it. And I don't know whether you are still doing in Opanoni, whether they're performing twice or once.
Twice.
Twice inside. So will that be in a big marquee as well as inside?
Yeah.
All right. You know, and it's also a big media live event, which is good for, I think, for people who can't travel because of cost and et cetera, et cetera. But it's a huge event for culture groups from about Ngāti Whātua, from about as far south as Kaipara, all the way up. Yeah. So, yeah, kia ora for you fellas hosting it.
I just have one question. What's a sound cave?
Those are people that connect all the sound from the stage.
It's a company in Whangarei, I think.
Oh, it's all the audio.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's all the audio. Yeah. Sound. Yeah.
I think they even, do they do the recording too? The live streaming? Comedians.
Oh.
You only found one quote in here, and that was from the St John ambulance. So they're charging something like about $3,000 for the 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So was there? It doesn't appear to be any other quotes for the advertising and program, and your lanyards and your stick, USB memory sticks. So. Well, obviously, I don't know about the picture voucher, but that was the only quote I could find was from the Stored Ambulance. If you're not asking for funding for the same thing.
Memory sticks, lanyards. Home. Advertising.
Through the chair, I suppose that obviously you've got information from Okaya from last year. We, am I right? We need obviously if we give you some money, we'll need sort of invoices against particular things. So we may, if your application is accepted, we may sort of suggest what it needs to be spent on. It seems a quotes aren't in here. I suppose that's the discussion.
Yes,
Yeah.
Give you a chance to supply those quotes. Yeah, because we have to be accountable to the ratepayer as well for supplying these funds.
Can I ask what the cost would be for a school? Is there a cost from the festival to the schools, or is it only their travelling costs and as such? So does the festival to enter, does it cost a school to enter?
Yeah.
And what would that be if you don't, just approximately?
Yeah, I did read some of it. It goes like 200 and something per school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
One more question, sorry. Usually with the festival, the third day is, or the last day, is there a competitive event? Are they separated this year? Is it a competition year this year for? No, it's an off year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any further questions? Thank you so much, Tia, for coming all the way over here.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. And we'll consider this application for your meeting. We'll let you know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any public hearings who would like to speak?
Whenever you.
I'm not sure. I think he's still doing his own naming. Yeah.
Oh, road naming. Yeah. Road naming.
Yes. So, no. So I'm on to item 6.1, which is a confirmation of the previous minutes. So move them. Do I have a second?
Yes, Adele, I will.
Madam Chair, item 6.2A, there is an application listed on the table for use line with them. Is that the same application that we just viewed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are all in favour?
Yes.
Right. So we're going to item, which is a supplementary agenda. If we do that first. You get a copy. So it's supplementary agenda that the Hiku committee will adopt the following meeting dates for the Kaitaia, Motutangi and Waikino and Waharara area drainage committees being the 3rd of April 2025 and the 18th of August 2025. We'll have a move of them.
Darren, move it. Second.
Any discussion?
No discussion on the dates as such, but you would have been talking to the chairperson of the drainage committee this morning. When are we going to discuss those issues, such as the fact that there hasn't been a workshop regarding bylaws, there hasn't been legacy draft regarding the bylaws, we don't know for sure what the rates are going to be imposed. So we will be able to discuss that and see, we'll get some answers.
Through the chair, I actually had a staff member from the policy team ask to come to the JP the next meeting.
The next meeting.
So February, March.
There was an opportunity to send out a letter with February rates regarding the bylaws, and that hasn't gone. They haven't gone.
They also,
the change being dragged in a bunch of mess.
they can also do an in-between, not wait for the Hiku meeting. If
Can
you
they come
want.
today?
Not today though.
Online.
Not today.
Cheryl, did Aaron's drainage was Creek Patrice that said they didn't?
I don't know, I haven't been talking to him about it.
The purchase order for the works was only approved in February. The construction season ends in April, May.
Yeah.
If we have a meeting in March,
And bring it forward and not wait for the meeting.
Well, it just seems that we've had discussions with staff and nothing has really.
Yeah,
happened. That's not-
The purchase order's got to go out early.
At the drainage workshop in December, it was decided that we'd have a workshop to discuss the management plans and the bylaw. So hopefully the FNDC staff have got the bylaw, sort of worked on the bylaw and they can present it to the drainage committees, hopefully, before it goes to council to be adopted. So,
But in the meantime, people are
Waiting.
waiting and work being done on various properties that is not consistent with the current bylaws. And no advice has been drawn out,
we'll have to just work under the old bylaw until it comes adopted.
but they're not doing that.
So if we can set up a meeting, a workshop, please, with the drainage committees in March prior to the 3rd of April meeting, so that I'm not sure when it's
And can we have some information as to what rates are being charged, please? Because Motutangi was nil. Is that still going to be the case? You know, what did they pay this year? What are they expected to pay next year? And if it's more, what's it for?
So at the annual plan workshops, it's Akita who does a lot of the annual plan work for the drainage. Got to get together with her and we can discuss all that. The issues in the office and it's really
just on that matter as well, this is about the land drainage. I'm not sure if our council's considered changing the delegation and the transfer of powers over to the Northern Regional Council to do this, because it's clear our council's not doing a good job of it. And the regional council already maintains all of the rivers, has specific contractors that are used to digging out drains, whereas for all the rest of our three river systems, they're reticulated. I think that they are really experienced in that area. And previously, there were assets that were transferred over from the district council to the regional council, and now regional council assets as part of the management of the system. It's just my view that I think that naturally aligns when we're considering Three Waters transfer as well. And so I think that would be a good discussion with the Northern Regional Council as well.
The fact that the Hiku Community Board currently has the delegation for the drainage is the only thing that's meaning something's happening, because it's been left to staff before, it's been left to council before. They do nothing, they don't know anything about the area up here. It needs to stay local and not.
Do we know if Mike Steele returned home for good, or
No, he just came up.
he didn't come home?
He did come home.
So has he?
He's getting ready to go.
He's not going to stay.
No.
Okay.
He's not there.
So that changes things a bit too.
Sure. Well, it doesn't really, because they'll do something in the meantime, presumably.
And that's also the bylaw, the opportunity for the bylaw to be transferred, transfer of powers. The district council administers the earthworks bylaw, although even though the Northern Regional Council has the management of water and land. So we're already doing works as a transfer from the regional council. So potentially the North Regional Council could do a better job than us, because it appears it's not a priority for our council.
Can you further that discussion with Councillor Boy with whoever? I'm not sure how you actually further that when you have your meetings with NRC. Yes.
Yeah, but I wanted to, because our area is the only area with land drainage drains, I wanted to table that as an idea with our board, particularly given we're considering at the moment the transfer of water assets away from our council. If that goes to a big council in Whangarei, the more local council is actually the Northern Regional Council, who already maintains all of our rivers and already does the floodgates. So, yeah. Just a consideration of bundling works.
Sure.
So
I think that's a good idea.
So if the board is considering that, I think maybe the staff as well as regional council, we could have that discussion.
It seems to be the same old allegation. Yeah, things happening.
So can we consider some dates, please, for the well, we've just got to get on and while that's all happening in the background, perhaps consider some dates for workshop, please, for the drainage committees.
And Adele, Felicity did say it would still remain as a community board delegation, so we would still have to, that we'd still be able to keep them accountable, whether it was the Far North District Council or the Regional Council. It would still be a community board delegation for us to.
Because this is already done in the management of the Awanui River, and John, I believe, is on that management.
I was.
I go to the meeting.
And Adele goes to the meeting. So it will just function exactly how the management of the Awanui River functions. Just trying to find solutions, because this is very frustrating. It's taken many years and I'm not wasted time.
Yeah. Okay, I'm aware that the spraying is being done, so that's
Positive.
positive.
Okay.
So can I leave that setting the shop back from that, please? Thank you. Cheers, so that. So all in favour for these dates?
Aye.
Right, we're on to 7.1, which was the a new road name called 5 Crescent, which we have beach. Do I have a mover, please?
Darryl, move it.
Yeah, Rachel.
We have Trinity here to answer any questions.
Kia ora, Trinity. Sorry, what's your role?
So I work with the infrastructure group. My official role is finance and customer service admin. So I'm based in the infrastructure support.
Thank you. Welcome.
Any discussion on this particular item?
Silly question, but can I ask what nationality that will be?
So I'm actually not sure the nationality. It comes from the Norse.
English. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, just asking about that. Is Heimdall a person or a whānau or what?
So Heimdall just runs on the Norse theme. So Heimdall is part of like the Norse gods, that kind of generalized area.
But the other ones are called Freya, Odin, Torsby.
Yeah,
They're all in a theme.
Norse.
Yeah.
So this one's no different, right?
No.
It was the developer's idea was to follow along that theme with the adjoining rights that are in the area.
So it's going to be a private road which has pretty delicate dwellings will be built, so that's huge. All in favour?
Aye.
I'm against, but I don't have a vote in here. Thanks.
Well, 7.2, which is the a private road located at 65 Foster Road, Montgomery, is Harbour View Road, Rise. Can you read it, please?
Yes, I can it down.
Kind of a boring name, isn't
It is a bit.
I've got a question about this one, Madam Chair. There were two options. One's Harbour View Rise and the second choice was Kahu Rise. Is there any narrative around that and, you know, why the two were put forward? And the difference between the two, I guess? Similar.
In my understanding, it was just the applicants and the owners' consideration to put those two names forward. And Harbour View Rise was the majority vote for the payment feedback, and the Nazi we have supported the use of the Harbour View Rise logo in this area.
Well, I like the fact that Kenana Marae supported this name as opposed to the other one. So that sort of, yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's a bit dull.
Happy with the dull road name. I say yes. In favour.
Yeah, all in favour?
I am.
Thank you.
I've done the
There
right
is another
things.
9 runnings going to be there. So it's Winter 7.3, which is another new road name. at Lot 2 Laurie Road, Cable Bay, and the private road right away is Stony Bay Lane. So there's 3 options here, so 1, 2, oh, decline team orders. Yeah, sorry. And we have the footings orders.
I like Stony Bay Lane.
I think it's another boring name.
Yes.
Great.
I had a question about this one here. It says there was 2, a preferred choice, a second choice, and then there was a third line in this page. It says decline for use.
Correct, yes. So the Timuana Lane is different for use through Land Information New Zealand as due to the similarity of Timuana Lane, which is in a close proximity to the developments.
Yeah.
It's a private road anyway, so they can have it whatever they want.
Yep. So used to that. They've got it through everybody. I've done all the right stuff.
Everybody in favour? Oh, so I'll move it. Do you want me to second it, please? Sorry.
Swipe it.
We're on to 7.4. So are you happy with?
Yeah, no, I am. Thanks. I just wanted to hear how it all went.
Thank you.
Appreciate both. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Rachel?
Those road names now go to council.
What minutes?
Now go to council. Sorry, they then go to council. Do they go to council now, those road names?
No, I think they're approved by the community board. They probably do, but
We're on to 7.4. There is a new ground lease for Papakari Sports Complex Incorporated.
I'll move that.
I'll second it.
Are there any staff members to speak to this? I can speak to it.
Through the chair, I'm Helen Line.
Any discussion?
Yes, discussion. I've been quite involved in this whole thing with and with Michelle as well. And the school is still residing at the sports complex, and they've had a lot of discussions about taking over a part of it, developing it into a school and so forth. Ministry of Education weren't excited about it being a recreational use. They need the use to be changed to educational, so or else they can't apply for their funding and they can't be a charter school or the whole system. So the school and the club, the Domain Club, are working really, really well together, and they're really wanting a positive outcome for all of them. They like the school being there. They see it as a good thing for them as well. So I would like to ask that this be left to lie on the table, just so that they can work through with Michelle and the sports complex as to maybe defining some of these areas that will possibly be changed to educational purpose, and then keeping the rugby field and the netball courts and that as recreational for everybody. And then everyone sort of wins then, and then they can put their money into developing it and bringing it up to all of that. So if we could consider leaving that to lie on the table so they can continue their discussions.
So how long would you?
I think by next meeting they'll have a really good idea of just Michelle's been super helpful and just working, defining the areas, making sure all the parties are happy with it, and then come back to the meeting with a new, it will take time and there's a process to get it. Yeah.
I'll second that.
Yeah. A question, I guess, for Michelle, if she's online.
Yes, I'm here.
The question that I had was about the actual terms of leases that are put forward, especially like the 30 years. Has that ever been tabled with the community board if they're happy with those terms?
Are you talking about the terms of termination if council deems the area required for another use?
Or community board, given they have the delegation for reserves?
Yep, so in the leases, those terms are specified that we can terminate the lease if we determine that it is required for another use outside of the existing lease.
It would be good. I think it would be helpful for you to share the exact wording of that, just so that we can ensure that we have self-determination for next generations about what we want to use the site. I'm not saying that about this specifically, about leases in general, given our previous conversations about other recreational reserves that have buildings owned by other people on them. And that was just a question for future reference. Is that able to be done, Michelle?
Yeah, I can send those through. I think it's important to realise that whilst it is a template that we have for our leases, we can modify them as necessary for each individual leasee as well. But yeah, I'm more than happy to share those to you.
That would be great, thank you. The other question was about the educational use. I'm not sure the type of reserve this is. What type of reserve is it?
This is recreational right now.
Recreational reserve. Why does it need to change the type of reserve to be used for a school? Why can't they just get a resource consent for that purpose?
So from my understanding from the information that the Ministry of Education has provided is that they will not allow them to legally use the site if it's not for educational purposes right now.
The type of reserve?
Yes, we do have a few different leases that are educational that have kindergartens on them. There's one specifically that's called local purpose kohangareo. So in this one specific, I believe it is a requirement of the Ministry of Education that the site be changed. I think one thing to bear in mind that it does take a long time to do reclassification of the sites. And unfortunately, I'm not able to give you an exact timeline of how long that will take.
That's from the Ministry of Education. Thank you.
Can I ask a few questions,
Yes.
please? Oh, the first one I think is maybe not a question, but maybe include Ngāi Takoto Rūnanga in the discussion, just so they know. But also, I just want to know, is Abundant Life, the former site, still used as a school, or who knows? Okay, I just wondered if it was a private site or an education site.
Because it's owned by the proprietors of Abundant Life Church, I believe. So it's not on a reserve. It's not. It's held by that trust, that the proprietors of that trust. So it's not. I've been to them many times to plead with them, but it's a no.
Sorry, but part of it was designated education purposes. It wouldn't preclude it being used for recreation in the future if anything happened to the store.
I believe once it's in visual,
added on somehow.
Yeah, I believe once it's that. I think it needs to be a designated space for education and a designated space for recreational. Michelle, you can't have recreational and education as one.
No, you can't. They need to be different spaces. Yeah. However, we can carve off parts of the reserve to be educational. So we've proposed the bit in the map. If you look at the map, the bushy green area at the top. So we can break that off and deem that as educational, but we need confirmation from the school that that is what they want, and we don't want to just go changing things and for them to not be able to get a lease or consent from the Ministry of Education. So we need to know that they can 100%, that they are 100% allowed to go there, because if not, it's a waste of resources to change that designation of that area if it's not going to be used for that purpose.
Yeah, they're planning to, because the Pony Club own that other little flat bit there. Well, they don't own it, they use it. Because it's all part of that one lease of the thing. So they're going to try and have a bit of a corridor with the school, the Waipap Domain, the Pony Club, anyone else that needs to be included, just to really hash out that area and so that everyone wins and is happy about it. So
we need a new recommendation that's saying somehow including part of it as education.
Yeah.
So that's all we're looking for, because it's got to go out to consultation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're just going to have a get together.
So before, Michelle, before it goes out for consultation and we sign this off, I think we need a redefining of space.
Yeah.
And a new map and everything, what's going to be educational, possible educational, and what's going to be recreational. And then it goes out to the public for their feedback.
Yeah.
So through the chair, Rachel, I know it'd be faster if the whole thing was just educational. Where's the hindrance for the sports club if it's rated as if it's listed as educational instead of recreational?
I think then it sort of excludes it possibly a little bit from the public. Is that right, Michelle?
What about the terms of the lease though? We can put it in a clause.
Yeah, well, I'm open. I think they're all open to any kind of, I mean, the school doesn't want to exclude it from public to be able to come and use that, or the rugby club or anyone else. So if the whole thing could be changed to educational, then there's a clause in there to say the space is available for the public. I think they're open.
It seems like it would tidy it up and just speed it up, but I don't know.
Yeah. Michelle?
Through the chair, please. So bearing in mind how messy some of our past leases are, I would really prefer to keep the two leases separate. So if you would be okay with this, I would prefer to represent this report to you back again next month with the bushy area cut out, and to have that leased area for just purely for Waipapa Domain Sports Committee, because I don't want them for this to keep on ongoing for them, and then we can keep that the bushy area separate for when the school is ready to apply for their lease and to get that section reclassified.
Yeah. Through the chair, Michelle. In terms of the reserve. Does the educational department understand the time it's going to take, and are there any disadvantages to the school at this stage? Will they, in other words, do they have parameters in terms of time for this to happen?
So I don't believe that they know how long it's going to take. When I spoke to our legal services department, they weren't able to give me a clear indication of how long it would take. But what we can do in the meantime is provide them with the school with a letter of support saying, yes, we are going to reclassify. We're in the process of doing it. And they can present that to the Ministry of Education to support their request to be placed there.
So if it's going to be changed to an educational reserve, we would need fairly certain commitment from a school that it's going to go there. Otherwise, it's all a waste of time.
And they have said that's exactly what they'd intend to do. They'll make a call and they'll stick with, because they've got private investors or people that are willing to put buildings down and go and do a lot of. They've spent quite a lot of time and effort on where they are now, and they're happy there and it's working. They'd be sad to walk away if they can make it all work.
Through the chair, just a question to Rachel. You were looking at the Pirates area. Not a good option. Didn't work.
It could have been a good option. There's just some question around the land, because all those leases have expired, all of them. So Michelle's wanting to tidy them up as well. It's just we were a little unsure about the Kohanga site. There's a bit there, what's happening with the lease, trying to get hold of all the people involved to see what their plans were as well. Like Pirates were quite keen. That could be a good option, but it's trying to get hold of everyone as well. It's really difficult.
And through the chair, we would still need to reclassify that section as well. And we also have potential legal consequences with the Kohanga. So that site is a lot messier, and it's going to take a hell of a long time to get that sorted. This is the easier option. Everyone's happy for them to be on site. We can reclassify. It's just a case of getting the Ministry of Education on board with it.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask a question as well, just because I'll probably bring it up in the next discussion. Just about the number of old sports facilities we have in our district. And we've spent all this money on our Hiku Sports Hub, which is fantastic and puts it all in the one space. I'm just not sure about the financial sustainability of communities running a sports complex like this. I know that Awanui has a building owned by the council. Yeah. So just keeping in mind that I'll probably bring that up about the lease and saying that maybe the best outcome for the community is that the whole reserve, as John has suggested, is reclassified. Because when I go to sports with my kids on the weekend, we go to Taipa to do soccer, and then we go to the different schools around and use their school fields, because the schools utilise it during the week, and then after hours the community uses it after school and also on the weekend. So it's actually more efficient use of infrastructure, and then the ratepayer doesn't bear the cost, and also that infrastructure is used all the time and maintained all the time as part of that school. So in terms of efficient use of infrastructure, I think that's a good discussion for our staff to consider when doing new leases as well. Because if we own it, then we have to maintain it.
Yeah, and that could be something that long term the school would want to.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean that is their dream, to own it, maintain it, and be completely self-sufficient. They could do that with the support they have. They just can't find a home to start that, But and they're going to be open to anyone. You don't have to be a particular box to fit in there. They're open to anyone who wants a secondary education. Yeah. So
and I mean legally, I'm sure that Michelle could speak to that. There is definitely provision within legal leases in order to include a clause about using it whatever times, etc.
Yeah, they've got a great relationship currently at the moment, I feel, with the.
Well, I actually hear what you're saying, and I think that's a good option at some point, because Awanui is just down the road.
Technically, it shouldn't really cost the ratepayer, I don't think, if they're going to be using this as they are. Yeah, the school's really happy to maintain it.
You don't want to go on and give a lease for 30 years, and then the school is locked out of all that land to grow, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and put a whole lot of money into it. I mean, for a little school, they've put a lot of money into the car parks, to meddling, to tidying up the club. They have poured quite a lot of money into it. So they are more than willing to maintain it and continue on like that. Yeah.
There's not at the ratepayer expense then, another reserve that we have.
We have 700 of them.
Yeah. Okay, Michelle, sorry, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, through the chair. So in this case, the buildings that are currently on the land belong to Waipapi Sports Complex Incorporated. All of our leases are very specific on who is responsible for what when it comes down to maintenance. If the school is going to be placing a new building on site, what we are also going to require for them is obviously consent that they have to build there, but also we want ongoing maintenance plans to make sure that they're not going to come back to us in 5 years' time and say, hey, we can't afford this building anymore. And then the ratepayer has to be responsible for it. So we're trying to mitigate that at all costs.
And I think another proposal we haven't talked about is actually divestment. Do we actually need this as an asset, and is it better used and actually transferred totally out of our ownership?
I like that.
So I'm not sure why that wasn't presented as an option as well.
Yeah, that could be an option as well.
To go at consultation.
To go out to consultation, Michelle. I think it's a really good option so that the ratepayer is not looking after this property in the end.
Especially when they've got a big long-term vision.
Have you got something to say about that, Michelle?
In regards to divestment, are we talking about the whole property or just the section that is potentially going to be used by the school?
Whole property.
Okay, so we would need to I guess we could potentially divest the whole site to the school if they wanted to, but we need to find out if they want to do that to begin with, or if the sports complex want it. Also, before you can say, hey, we're going to divest it to you, we have to look at the background and the history of the land. It may be that it needs to be given back to the previous owners. We need to find out how we acquired it in the first place. So it's not as easy as just giving it away or selling it. We need to look into the history of it before we can make any decisions on that.
That would be really helpful. Thank you, Michelle.
Yes, it would be helpful because I don't want to give a term of 30 years to.
Yeah.
I'd rather have all that information so that we're talking about all this
We've got an
space.
opportunity to do something and do it right.
And do it right.
Yeah.
So we might have to leave it to lie on the table till all that information comes back before it goes out for consultation.
And Michelle, I'm just thinking out loud, if it was eventually to be divested, and that is what the overall decision was, the school could give authority for the rugby club to continue on for as long as they would want to on to
Yeah, definitely. That would be their agreement between them then.
Yeah.
Everyone wins.
Yeah.
So do you see where we're coming from, Michelle? So that's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll go back and I will do an option for leasing. So I'll remove the portion of the potential for the school, and I'll look into a second option of divestment, and I'll try and define as much background information as I can.
Thank you, Michelle.
And then third option is do nothing.
We're not going to do that.
But it's always an option.
Thank you.
So we'll leave this to lie on the table. So I'll move it. Do we have a second, please?
Oh, yeah, I will. Thank you.
Thank you. All in favour to lie on the table? Thank you. That was a good discussion.
Yeah. Hilda, thank you.
Well done, good.
Let's keep going. It was finished for a long time.
On 7.5, which is the project funding reports. If you'll have a mover, please.
Darren.
We have the feedback from Super Street Boulevard, Friends of Warrior Kaka Reserve, Auckland Fall Art Society, and Waihara Hall Society. Hopefully we can help all these groups. Any discussion? All in favour?
Aye.
Around funding applications.
Through the chair, Darwin surprised me then, and I obviously haven't read my I didn't realise she was asking for an extra $1,000 to go towards the publication of a book. So I have a conflict of interest there, because that's part of my business. Because I thought she was just going for the marquee, which is they follow, not me. And again, the Mental Fest posters printed is,
So that your conflict of interest in those.
in both of those things. I put $78 or something. Sorry about that.
So should we just go through one by one?
Yeah.
So first up, we've got the Kaitaia Districts Agricultural and Pastoral Association, and that show is on this weekend, and I believe the mayor is opening it.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Right.
I'm quite happy with this. They've given us all the votes, so.
Yeah, and they've tried to make this really affordable for the community, like the entry fee, all the stuff's free for the kids. They have it, and they're doing the best they can with not having fancy Ferris wheels and stuff like that, but the kids seem to have a lot of fun.
Through the chair too, I've been talking to some of the organisers, and they're having real problems, getting people there to organise it. It's an ongoing problem for them and getting worse. Just finding people on the ground to make it happen. So I don't envy them.
How many people on that committee?
I'm not too sure, but when I did,
Aging as well.
that's the biggest problem. I've done it since the year dot, and just no one coming through and helping.
Yeah.
Sorry, through the chair, Del. I'm working at that AMP show. That's not a conflict of interest, is it?
No.
Thank you.
Just make sure I've got a coffee.
What happens if we're going to go over there?
So I'll move that. Do I have a second, please?
Yes. Are we going to, just quickly for that, they've requested 2,344.
But there's not 396.
Oh, unspent, right, that got it. It's like, hang on, that doesn't add up.
396.
You're right.
Yeah, no, that's good. Thank you.
Aye.
So we're on to the metal piece from Frank Malley for the cost of the metal piece, $1,500. There's only one quote for the you're going through these, I'm really standing on these quotes because I need to be accountable for the ratepayer.
I think it's good having that festival. There's actually not that many events being held anymore because there's a lot that has to go into organising. Does that help? Qatar. Yeah, we're in Qatar.
It's been held at clubs in the past for us. Another one. Yeah, Frankie, he works full time at the Swiss now, and he's tried to run this so many times. I think it's happened a couple of times. I can't vote, but what I do support is if there's local bands that are part of it as well, because they don't get the time to the events to sort of participate in. But other than that, I don't know a lot about it to be fair. I haven't attended or anything like that. But it is definitely something that's out the box. It's not the sort of thing that it's not something that there's plenty of events with bands that come up, but they're not of the same genre, if you know what I mean.
How many people are going to enjoy them? Lots.
Collard.
Yeah.
So the
Oh, it's at Collard. It is at Collard.
not happening until May,
I'm happy to move to support that.
but there's no quote for the PA hire of $1,000.
Let's just
tell
make
you
it,
that's cheap.
yeah,
That's dirt cheap.
let's just make it subject to getting that thing.
Subject to providing
To
quotes.
provide the quote, yeah.
With the metalhead, the genre of the music, the biggest thing is on that because it's quite alive. The music, for want of another word, security's a big issue.
As far as I know, Bill, and I was quite surprised, there has never been an issue.
Yeah, okay.
But he does this out of his own pocket, as far as I know. I don't want to comment.
No.
And I think it's harder for him now that Stan doesn't own the property as well, trying to work with the new owners and stuff.
Do we vote on
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
And subject to providing quotes. Yeah, the quote
With
for
the
the
test.
PA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to move that. Yeah.
It's for the PA system.
Yeah.
That's all that's required, really. Thank you.
And through the chair, I have made a note of that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hello, Catherine.
All in favour?
Aye.
Staying.
Oh, Hoover for that one, please.
Felicity.
Yeah. In favour? So we're now up to the Koto Primary School, which is, so the recommendation is 6,500, the request of the amount was 7,700. And that obviously included the, printing for the book,
It's not the printing.
not the printing, but
They
the
need some help with the computer work.
formatting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just ask a question about this one? I'm just trying to remember how much we gave our
I
Noi.
was going to say, yeah. What? Only
One moment,
primary.
I'll just check on that one.
Sound like Bill had the same question.
Well, this
Well, it
meeting
seems
is
so.
on the 6th to the 10th of April. We've got another meeting.
That was on the meeting at the 9th of May 2023, and you granted them $5,000.
What did they ask for?
13,455. That was Awanui. Asked for 13,455.
So 6.5, given it's probably a bigger event, bigger school, bigger, is
Yeah, right.
in line, I would think.
So you're going to move that recommended amount, actually,
The 6.5.
and the second one, please.
Darren will second it. It's been moved.
Any further discussion on this one?
And they've got their quotes in, haven't they?
Total, yeah.
For the market. Oh, yeah.
All in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. We're now at the Open Learning Area School for the Keeping Over Our Festival, and that's going to be on the 9th and to 11th of April.
Madam Chair, I would like to move 5,800 for the St John's ambulance and the advertising. I don't believe that ratepayers should be paying for lanyards and memory sticks and picture vouchers.
Can I move, can I add to that? I'd like to, I was thinking about this through the chair, if we give some money, I'd like it to include the cost of the Te Hiku schools, so they're not paying their $260 each or something, I don't know. So subject to the Te Hiku area schools having a free entry, because with this sort of thing, I would prefer that the schools come to us
Yeah.
and help that festival instead of, but I'd just like,
Ours.
if
Yeah,
we
yeah,
give them
those
some money,
yeah.
subject. is
How
that
many
possible?
are there?
It's not that they've asked for, that's the trouble.
No, well, they're not asking for this, we need to help our
Yeah, I agree.
schools. So if we're going to give them funding,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's full
Am I
that I
making
know
it
of.
too complicated,
No,
Catherine?
not really, it's just
No, no.
looking around it.
I think it's a great idea.
I think so too.
Or even 50% of their fee,
Yeah.
or
So we
something.
could-
So it's easy
So
to go.
could we say, sort of, we pay for St John's ambulance advertising plus half the fees for the Te Hiku store?
That's a good idea.
Is that
Yeah.
the whole fee?
So that was only,
How many
The whole fee.
Through the
Yeah.
chair, they did also have a quote in there for waste management. That's on page 252 of your supporting information. And the reason they didn't have most of the quotes in there is because they were still acquiring them at the time the application was lodged. But they did have a list on page 265 of your supporting information of all of the costs, if there is something else that you would like to cover as well as St John's or instead of.
Going to Kaikoura as well.
Yeah.
Yep, they're going to all 3 community boards because all of them are coming in. So
I agree with John that we should be supporting our schools. So if we cover their costs, the Hiku school costs of $250 each.
Personally, I'm all for the event itself. It's just a lot of money that's not going into infrastructure that's out of our run.
That's fine.
So, but we do want to support it.
Yeah. And we want our schools to attend.
Yeah, well, I think the figure that Cheryl put forward, plus the entry fee of the schools, which I think was around $260 per school.
I'd say 5. If we count Te Kau, which is now Wharekura. I don't know about your school. No?
Is it high school or primary?
Yeah, high schools. It's Kaitoa, Aniwaniwa, Taipa, Hook in Middle, and Te Kau. About 5.
You give them an extra $1,500.
So that's 3,258 plus 1,500.
Oh, would you count Pangaru in that?
No, that covered by.
Oh, right. Okay.
So you're saying St John's for 3,000?
Yeah. Advertising and printing 2,800.
Yeah.
Plus 1,500 to cover the costs of the Hiku school attendance.
Oh, I love that.
So what's the total?
7,300.
6,500 again, is that right?
Yeah.
No,
3,
7
4,
something, I
5,
think.
6.
7,300 based on the figures you've got there.
That's
Yeah. I like that.
That's half the cost to the schools.
No, full cost.
Yeah.
At 250.
Yeah. Schools. That's a
Sounds good.
Do you need
They've got Hekura registration 217.39.
plus GST?
Oh, plus GST.
And I suppose maybe one school won't go, so we might as well just give them this, and then it should cover.
Yeah. I think
7,300, right?
Yep.
Yeah, with those conditions.
Cheryl, who's second it?
Sure.
All in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. We're up to the Te Kau Sports and Recreational Club.
I move that.
Yes.
I'll second it.
So that done well.
Doing things for themselves. Going for it. Yeah.
And just having the rugby club down at the games and stuff, they've got such a hearty vibe. They've done so well. They're really pulling together. Yeah, it's awesome. And that bombing contest is getting bigger and bigger. It's really popular. Yeah, it's a great thing for us.
How's your time, Joel?
All happy with that one? All in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. The last one is the youth line.
We've done this before. Yeah.
Yeah, I just, I don't have a problem with supporting if that's what we're going to do, but I've been involved with the council since 1996 or something ridiculous like that. And we have seen organisations like this come year after year after year, and we're still in a situation where we've got obviously problems with use with people. At the moment, it sounds like there's some up in Pukenui. People can't feed their children, feed their dogs, whatever it's all on Facebook. How helpful actually are these things? I mean, good on them for doing it. Somebody's got to do it, but it just seems to me that a lot of money goes out and our social situation isn't really better. It's getting worse.
It's almost like a lot of these things need to be more localised, like a more localised, rather than just a number. It's like when you have a drop-in centre or something like that. They won't drop in. You kind of have to go to where they are, like in the schools, be the support person for them there, go to them rather than have them come to you. Like a more local.
Well, because I was going to ask that as well, because the office is Owens Road, Epsom, Auckland. I noticed that in that picture. And I was like, number one, that is the most expensive place ever to have an office.
Yeah.
Number two, it's obviously not in the far north. Not saying I'm not, that I'm not supportive of the kaupapa because Youthline is, but it's on the phone, so
no one would go in there in person. Like, are we better to spend that money locally, or?
I think it has more impact.
I think so.
When you're right there on the ground, like there must be so many community organisations that are struggling. Just for example, and I don't want to say our own thing, but like the Shine and Strength program we've been doing in Kaitaia for 10 plus years, going to all the schools and all the year 7, 8, every person will probably know a kid that's been at it. It's so hard to get funding for. And yeah, and I think there's so many organisations, you could rattle off a pile of them that do stuff up here for locally. I wonder if they would have more impact. Is that where we should be?
I'd like to talk in support of Youthline. And last year we had about 5 suicides up here, just in from Owenui North. And I think people just like to ring someone they don't know. They don't want the locals to know your business. And I did worry about the stuff with Destiny, how that's going to impact on kids that are, takatapui, rainbow, whatever you want to call them. So, yeah, I like the stuff they do. But, yeah, I do think that they prefer that nobody, because sometimes it's just reaching out. And sometimes they just want to talk to someone who doesn't know their whānau or their business or whatever. Because, I'm sorry, but some social service organisations, they cut the kōrero and they go, I like the idea of going to whānau, but sometimes
Goes over their head.
it's
where the trouble starts.
that's where the trouble is.
Yeah.
So,
do you know many kids that have actually used it, Hilda? Like I've never thought to actually ask, but that would be a real interesting.
It's on the phone.
Like, to ask the youth. Have you ever run? Have anyone ever?
I have heard that some people like the idea of just anonymity, nobody knows their situation and they're just asking questions sometimes. They don't even know what the next, like just admitting they're gay. Like I see all this social media for 5-year-olds. Don't be mean to other kids, and like, it's a good campaign. Sometimes kids don't know they're being mean, but like there's all kinds of things that are happening out there. This Destiny stuff bothers me. I don't know if you saw Rod Piham's support for, gay kids in Whangaroa. He immediately jumped to their defence, and so, yeah. That's all I want to say about it.
Well, I don't see any reason to fund them.
Yeah.
It just concerns me that shitloads of money has gone out and really we're not done it.
We seem to do it every year. But what concerns me is the people where the money goes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I don't want to not fund it either because it's so important. But it just seems every year we get the same requests. Well, actually, Catherine could probably help us with that. How many times, Catherine?
There is some information on page 288. The information which tells us the numbers and the Hiku.
Yeah, approximately how many Tiku students are.
One, I think it said.
10 young people reach out.
251 youth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Every what though? Yeah.
Annually, yeah.
That's from the census.
Let's just move it. We've got to do it.
Can I just ask I'm not a teacher and orphan school, is it advertised to kids in schools? Like, here's a number you could call?
There is a huge social media campaign going on at the moment through Facebook, on television, through most of the social media apps that young people are using already.
I guess it's kind of like Healthline,
Yeah.
like I don't know how many young mums have ever called Healthline, but quite a lot. Yeah, quite a lot. Yeah. It's there when you're in that space and you need it. It is helpful. Yeah.
The social media, through the chair, social media is, it's all good. We've got our health services there, but then it's social media also that's causing the problems in terms of youth. So it's a catch-22, and probably that's why it's rising, because no matter what your age, you can afflict damage on people. Yeah.
So is everyone happy with the 6,000, or is there another number anyone has in mind? Or?
And we sort of target it towards people.
Yes. Yeah.
So why don't we just say, yes, we'll do the 6,000, but in their report, we want to see some outcomes for our area.
Yeah, that's it.
And leave that to them to determine what those outcomes are. But we'll give you the 6,000, but we want to see more outcomes for Te Hiku region.
Through the chair,
Numbers.
just what you're saying, Rachel, I don't know, you know, they're the first to say funding is becoming very difficult. Possibly in this situation, if they could split their finances some way and show us how it's, you know, every community board in New Zealand would support it if they knew it was going directly into that community.
But surely they'll have fantastic reporting on who called, what area they were, what was the, you don't even give like.
I'm thinking of promotion more so.
Yeah.
I would suggest they could add that to pay time. You better value the Nixon.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But yeah, maybe ask for some outcomes in their reporting for our specific region.
I got a ring from somebody, a well-known person who deals with young gay kids in trouble and all that, identity issues. And he asked me, like, would it be all right to send this kid up here who was quite troublesome? And I said, oh, where's he from? And he said, oh, down at Tairāwhiti. And I said, well, we probably couldn't help him. If you're wanting to go down that Māori track, you'd send him down there to his own people if you're hoping he could find, you know what I mean?
It's going to be a long way from home.
Yeah, well, you know, it's like, and that's an issue that social services are facing, that they're getting all these kids that are in trouble. They want to send, like Oranga Tamariki, you want to send them somewhere for a week or 2 weeks or something, but it's like you don't just ship them home for a week or two and then, you know, leave them here. You know, it's about staying up here, but they haven't made those connections with their whānau, their marae, for a long-term solution rather than a week away. Sorry, that might be useless information.
No, there's a big picture, I know.
Yeah.
Especially at that level.
Propose 5,000.
Yeah.
I would like to propose 5,000.
The chair, I thought it was moved that we have the 6,000 with those provisos. Rachel, didn't you move?
I think so.
Yeah.
Did you get that?
I have made a note of that.
What's that?
I haven't moved and seconded.
No, we haven't moved and seconded it, but I
So
suggested it.
I'm moving 5,000 with the proviso that they, in their reporting, that they supply the information on typical area with regards to the youth and some outcomes plans.
Yeah.
Do I have a seconder?
Darren.
I'm happy with that.
You're going to do an amendment for your 16.
Yeah, I'd like to do amendment with 6,000. We
the same
discussed
proviso.
with the same provisos as you mentioned, Adele. It is an important service, and it's like I said, it's a catch-22. You win, you lose, sort of thing. But you've got to put your best foot forward. In this instance, we're committed to it. We're bound by it. It is a huge community problem.
Yeah.
And it ain't look like it's going away either.
I'll second the amendment.
So we vote on the amendment.
Yeah.
$6,000 with the
Provisos, Adele's
With that?
provisos, yeah.
All these.
I'll support that as well.
Okay.
All in favour?
Aye.
That's going to be 6.
Yeah.
So we're on to now. Yes.
That's right.
Actually made it this time.
I think all my stuff came after
Oh.
I
It'll get through eventually, Rachel.
Look at you, though. Golden boy.
No.
To the chief, which is the chairperson and members' reports. Motion to move reports.
Second.
Very short report from me. That's what I'll do. Like to take it as read. I noticed that the Thomas Read is now clear of warnings.
It does stop at about KFC.
Yes, it does.
Which is a
I
shame.
know.
Oh, you drive along
Go
it.
around
Have
the
you
Like
still
a
got
jungle.
palm trees growing in your drains?
Oh, it's just,
It's unbelievable.
and that, while we're on that roundabout, that's, Eggside.
Oh, it's a mess.
And the ladies that do it, for whatever reason, won't spray, they only pull the weeds, and then
A week later.
it's KBA actually pays them supplementary to keep that tidy. I wish it was, and probably Pack and Save did it, but I wish it was sort of weed matted and maybe planted with more of the grasses so that,
I always say that, John, and it never happens.
no, it's just as you drive in every morning, it's just, and the grass around there on the side of the footpath is up.
Who owns
Yeah.
that roundabout?
It's terrible. Well, it'll be Waka Kotahi who
Could we ask?
need to manage it, but
NZGA, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Could we ask KBA to come and apply for some funding to weed mat it?
yeah, I can talk to them about that. But
Well, they
it
should
I
be
love weed mat.
basing
I'm all
it.
about funding weed mat.
well, Pack and Save paid for it apparently.
Or maybe
It
Pack,
works.
maybe we could work with Pack and Save and do halvesies or something to just do it well once.
Because they have someone at Pack and Save that goes around and tidies up their area and cuts back all the grasses. And, you know, so, so as part of the due diligence, I have to do that.
We could suggest it, John.
I'm off track, but I'll
Could
talk to the
suggest
KBA. We've got a meeting tomorrow.
And if someone's from Pack and Save's there, they could come into that too.
Yep.
And the other RFS is the Awanui Park, and I noticed that the bollard hasn't been fixed.
No, it doesn't yet.
Has the drainage been done?
I didn't see any water when I went around. Thanks for that, Adele.
It's probably the table.
Yeah, yeah.
The concrete table's gone. If someone stood in that, they'd probably go up to their hips and water.
Through the chair, Adele, too, good work for the lighting through the park.
Yes, yes.
And none of them have been broken yet that I could see. But most pleased with that.
Yes, really cool.
Yeah, they look really good.
Susie Clark from Awanui was really helpful in suggesting vandalism-proof design.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
No, they're really good. And I saw lots of people walking through there late and it was quite well lit up. So I was like, it's really good.
And the Koto Airport signing is great.
Yeah.
Thanks for all of you down.
Hilda?
Yeah.
If you ever really need a good MC, we have one called Ikanui Kingi Waioa. He is just stunning with difficult. He's stunning.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
It's amazing.
Great out.
Then they need to tidy that up, don't they? Airport. It's on the
Next steps, yeah.
Yeah.
Next steps, correct.
Fuel tanks.
That's me. Thank you. So go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, take it as read, but just a couple of issues that I want to follow up on. Lake Uea, can we have a notification to them about what's happened, Bev? They're just, no, they haven't got anything. Yeah. I mean, in writing. The Rangiputta Road, last meeting, I thought that was going to be put on the open resolution, but I see it's not there. And then there was talk about it would be handed over to Kelly. Could someone clarify that process for me? Why was it going to be handed over to Kelly, Deputy Mayor? Is that part of her?
That was my suggestion. She's a portfolio of
Yeah.
through civil defence, and they have their main head office in Whangarei, and she goes to all the civil defence meetings.
Okay.
That's her portfolio for council.
So can we put a road, or that road inlet into the settlement? Can we put it on the open, our open resolution report? I thought it was going there.
What is that to do with the bank?
Yep, the embankment, the hillside. And just as a follow-up to, had a meeting with the chair there, and the all service organisations that are looking after, they're just going out there and doing petty work. And most of the damage now that's occurring, it's being left to the local residents, as we saw with John's report when he sent photos, and they removed the rocks. They smashed that rock up and moved it, that you took photos. But then I get a report back from them, obviously follow up on my RFS, that the work has been done and built and it's all tidied up. No, the community did that. Yeah. Okay, so can I get the Rangi Puta Road into settlement on the, could I move that it be put on the open resolution?
That's to do with your RFS.
That's to do
with the bank. Yeah.
the banquet, yeah.
And if you contact Kelly about that.
Yep, okay. Yeah, just do it.
Yeah, directly, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that she can table it with the Civil Defence Board.
That's all right. When we had the discussion, nothing was brought up at all. I wasn't listening. More than likely, in terms of the civil defence. Just recently, I've been involved with the local Kangaroo committee and the locals with Duncan Road. You've been out there, Felicity. I think you and Steve McNally were out there.
Steve's been really great.
Good, yeah. I went through there, and the problem the locals perceive there is that the road is extremely narrow, windy, and it is. And now we've got full logging truck traffic on there. Great. Yeah. I contacted a person in the council, and then we're talking about they'd talk to the contractors, forestry contractors, and they'd put out extra signage. But I went through there, there's nowhere near enough. If there's a slightest, every bend basically is a disaster waiting. So we'd like to request more signage there. The other thing too is there's a school bus that uses that road twice a daily. Can council notify the school about them notifying their driver, just to be careful and understand that there's traffic through there? And not only that, you also know that Duncan Road is a bypass road too, isn't it?
Yeah, it was when there was a fatality, and it's a terrible road.
Oh, it's they've graded it, etc., etc. But again, it needs more signage with the influx of logging traffic. The other one thing I want to bring up there, and when we presented the LTP, me and you, we had extra time, and I did bring up the fact, because I think I followed behind Maloney, is it? Was he before me? I think, anyway, he was talking about service contracts or the lack of quality work. Up Duncan's Road, I went there, met some locals there, and they showed me where they'd done the drains, which is fine, and cleared culverts. But from here to John, there was a culvert totally blocked. And, you're paying for that service, and you wonder why someone didn't walk over there and just look and check, because the whole thing was blocked. And their rationale when they were doing the drains is that it takes time because they've got to find a dumping area for obviously what they dig out. If you look closely in the Kaikui, that's where they dumped it, on the side of the, above where they put it out of the drain. So it's again asking for clarification in terms of value for what we're paying for, and quality checks. Why aren't we checking? Why hasn't the council got someone checking those rings, ticking them off?
Lack of monitoring is
it's crazy. And this is just one road, so I can imagine what's happening in the Motu.
there's definitely something happening with maintenance at the moment, or lack of.
Yeah.
Like, just our road hasn't been graded since October.
Right. Yeah, it's throughout.
And I've
And
got RFSs and millions.
Well, who's
millions of them.
accountable?
No one comes. And I'm not saying because it's my road, but this is all across the area. Grading and maintenance of metal roads have just fallen off. The worst it's ever been.
I think as well it's really important to put RFSs in because I think you're right that the levels of service between our area and the southern area, who is a different contractor, has actually been noticeable to the roading staff.
Yeah.
So there's been comments on that.
it's just that quality aspect. I'm talking to the locals. They asked for dust suppressant. They got it, but at the wrong address.
It's
Yeah.
like Bell Road.
It's just
terrible. I need
it's crazy. Yeah, it's just out of control.
Being
I
paid,
don't-
They
so
are.
nobody's
Yeah.
looking at it to say, we're not
Until we
paying
get,
you.
until we get, Hiku gets its own contractors, we just beat this up every time.
Yeah, you go around in circles.
Yeah, but you do an RFS, you get a reply to say Hilton Hogan had been and a road inspector has been and work has been scheduled, and then they close it. That's it.
That's exactly
That's all the replies I get every time, and I'm like,
And then flashing back to the settlement that Rangi put the same thing.
Yeah.
An officer has been out and checked, and it's all fine.
or it's been scheduled, but that could be for like 5 years'
Yeah.
time.
But yet today, Waterfront Road got started
Oh,
today, first day,
Yeah.
and that went in 2.5 years ago.
Well,
Same thing, and I've been on and on and on and on.
yeah.
And I thought it had been closed off, and they finally started it.
Through the chair, yeah. Through the chair, Darren's, yeah. Overpowering my point. It's okay now. The point is, Madam Chair, is that the quality checks on our work is just non-existent. And something has to be done because we're paying for it. I expect it to be done to a certain level, but when you get a drain dug and there's just one culvert over there, I can see it. The guy walked me up the road, it was steep too. But we got there and yeah, it's blocked. And how can you say the job's done?
So did you
Yeah.
put that on the report?
Excuse me, Bev, could you note that please and perhaps informally roading department.
And it's across the board, Bev. If we sat here and talk long enough, you get more.
Through the chair, they could present what they do with inspections and how they could present that to us so we know what they do, because I wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah, in the infrastructure space that Rob Gilmore has started, we asked for our own independent auditor of engineering because we agree with that, that it wasn't being inspected, that there wasn't accountability of the contractors. And so the only powers that we have as elected members is for our CEO. And so we asked for our own independent engineer. And he's been making huge changes, including the way that's been inspected. What you need to tell anybody that brings up is you take the photo and you send them the RFS. And unfortunately, what I've seen is that they have to keep following up to make sure it happens because they do exactly what Bill has said is they close the RFS before the work's actually been done.
Yeah.
And then you have to bring up again, being like, well, can you reopen the RFS because it hasn't been done? We shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah.
It should be a better RFS process.
Yeah. And through the chair, with all the public meetings I've been to, that's what they're saying. They just get sick of it. You know, RFS after RFS, et cetera, Nothing's been done, Bill. Yeah, it's your fault, Bill.
Yes. That's what we're saying, that's his fault.
Thank you so much, Bill.
Thank you.
Is that you?
That's my report.
Yes, sorry guys. Yeah, I've got 6 items.
You can have 3.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
First one will be very fast. Bev, the problem with the people gathering at they're driving through by the Croquet Club is that RFS. I did speak with someone who said we hope to get this sorted very soon in the new year. So what they're doing is they're driving past the Croquet Club and they're dumping fish and having parties around the back of the, behind Gary Hodges' radars, behind the RSA.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so just wanted to follow up on that if we could, Bev. They can actually get through Kirunanga or Te Arawa, but they don't use that access. There is a little gap there for cars to drive through. I don't know whether we're going, yeah, but anyway, there car park. Number 2.
Council owns it. You're talking about the car park council owns?
No, it's the right of way between Croquet Club and
There's a little reserve.
there's a little reserve there.
Yeah.
And so you basically straight after the Croquet Club, you can see where they've been driving over the grass. And Jamie come to see me, Jamie Jones, and said, I think this is what we're going to do, blah, 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 but we haven't heard anything since. I had
6 months.
Lois Strong requesting, I don't know how to do this, so someone might be able to help me, said that South Road originally should have been called Jim Durbin Road, was meant to be. Pat Davis requested this, I don't know who she is or him, who is deceased now.
She just deceased.
Yep. And they wondered, and I looked it up, and there's a lot of history on it because he cleared the basically what Dalman mentioned about today, the first river, blah, 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 back in the day. And they wondered whether our little walkway could be called Jim Durbin Walkway, the show around the showgrounds. I don't know, but I don't know how to do that either. Is that possible? Like a little
Naming.
I can look into that.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Bev.
that's actually because he planted all those trees along South Road from the end of the access into Te Anhu right down to the corner.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I knew nothing, and all I did was go Jim Durbin Kaitaia, and there's all these stories on him and how Jim Durbin Drive is now called South Road. So it was originally named, and they just wonder whether it'd be a nice thing if the family requested that the walkway, the new walkway, be called Jim Durbin Walkway. I met with Chris Galbraith we're talking about Manu platforms.
Yay.
I sent, because I sent him emails, which some of you might have seen, of all our kids just jumping off rails and even on those spiky cones down at Whakanui. Chris says there's no way council will take responsibility of a structure being part of a commercial wharf. And I said, well, there has to be a way because this is more dangerous. I spoke with and we looked at building a structure further down, just past the Coast Guard. Yeah, just past Coast Guard, coming off there with like a walkway, but to me it's too far away. And then I spoke with someone in Wellington in Whangamata they have a floating platform. So what they do is they move it into a zone during summer, but then when I spoke to Chris Galbraith, he said then we have the issue of who takes the responsibility of that in winter, and then who moves it into place and who moves it away. Yeah. But and then we mentioned maybe the game club could have a platform, but the problem I see is the families are going down there with their kai from the shops. The kids are just swimming all day or fishing. I spoke to 4 commercial fishing regulars and they said, let's do it. There's no way, let's make this happen. They don't care that wharf is being used for dual, they're only in and out there once a day. So I've got to do more homework, I suppose, unless someone else has got suggestions, because I really, really want this to happen for the kids up there. Not only that, they come from Kaitaia, they come from Te Apua, they come from everywhere. I just took videos of one down in Auckland on the weekend, a big manu competition. So, yeah, I'm a
Sean,
bit,
did you see that one I sent you from Opotiki?
yes,
So that's separate. They've got their wharf here,
Yeah.
where the fishing boats come and go, and then they've built. Like, I wonder if it's not easier just to build a little jetty like what they've done. It doesn't seem complicated. Like,
It
I mean,
is.
I'm no engineer, but
it's just a
I
little,
know it's
I'm not
expensive.
worried
But
about the expense. That's,
nice, John.
I'm not worried, we can find money.
Yeah.
The thing is, Rachel, it takes them away from,
Doesn't have to be far away.
well, it does according to Chris.
Right.
Yeah.
What
Um,
about the floating thing? Do you
Then
not
they've
think
got to get out
that's
to it.
viable?
The floating thing is viable. Yeah, because I asked the skippers, there's those 3 big poles and all they are, and so the structure is there, and all they are is just to tell the boats to go around. You know what I mean? And so the kids could swim out. We could build a platform in between the triangle, and they jump off there all day long until a boat comes along. But then it's council's risk that if the boat hits a person. But
Would there be
it's
a
only
space
5 metres from they're doing it anyway.
Yeah, but I
just-
guess the council don't want their name on them.
That's what it is.
No.
And I don't want my name on it. I look after that wharf. I'm sorry, John.
Mm.
It is a working wharf. And once
Yeah,
you
so
build
what's
something,
happening?
if somebody gets killed there,
What's happening now
It'll be
is a
on me.
problem regardless.
Yeah, but the liability doesn't fall on.
Yeah.
It falls
Person.
on them.
at the
That's
moment
what we're
it's on
worried
them.
about covering there.
Yeah, so I'm asking, what do we do?
And that's
Well,
what, that's where Chris is.
Because that's a
It's a-
private asset.
There's just no shops, no nothing down there. There's a toilet.
We've got
So the
parking.
families are coming down having their picnics and watching the kids dive and swim and fish and yeah.
But maybe it's a build it, they will come type situation. If it gets built down a little bit just further, maybe they will start congregating.
Well, the other option I thought was maybe under where the picnic things are, under the just north of the playground. There's 3 picnic tables there.
Yeah.
We could put more in there and a little walkway down because the channel is really close to the
Sort of.
But it's fast moving water, mate. I don't like it. I truly don't.
Yeah, is it a fast current through there?
well, it's the same current everywhere.
Or is it less fast? That would be less fast at the wharf, though,
At the
wouldn't it?
wharf. My personal view is I don't like it. I think it's way too dangerous for working area. And when those boats come in, sometimes they've been working 24 hours straight. They're not going to
I mean under down further
By the playground,
by the playground.
by the game fish club.
Same thing. It's a narrow channel.
So, well, but the kids are doing it anyway, Darren.
I know they're doing it anyway, but at the moment it's at their
Risk.
risk, not our risk.
Yeah, so if we go away from the wharf, how is it your risk? It's no one's risk.
How does it work in other areas?
Well, that's why I think maybe shall I try and find someone who can get in touch with it, the Opotiki one, and see how they did it.
If they've set them
Tar have one there, they're going now.
Are they
Well, the
commercial?
Opotiki
also?
ones.
Yeah,
This-
that's what I mean.
They are.
No, I'm not talking
Opotiki
about
is.
the-
No, I know, but I mean,
We do.
are they commercial harbours? Do they have people loading and unloading?
Well, they have a loading commercial area at the one at Opotiki here, and then in parking area and big facility, and then just down, just a little walk, they've got their own little platform, and they've got a water slide that zooms off into the river, and a swing and a bomb thingy, and they have a water slide. Yeah, and a big ropes that you swing off, and it's just a little platform that they've just built off the shore, and it just extends out, and that's where they jump off.
Through the chair, if we're talking about safety and health and safety and accountability, then a lot more groundwork has to be done before. And that commercial issue you're talking about, I understand.
I understand
Yeah,
moving away from the commercial wharf.
Yeah.
Like I can see how there's no liability on council. I just don't want it to go completely miles away because at the moment it's in a hub. But if
Could
we
the deck be extended? from the wharf along a little bit further and then so that they can still access it there and then just toddle off down the deck a bit further.
That's still part of the wharf. Like realistically, none of those kids should be even allowed on that wharf.
That's what's going to happen next. They will shut it down.
And the fishing and the people
So
fishing.
maybe it is a case of moving the location and going, because eventually they'll get kicked off there anyway.
That's what will happen.
So maybe it is a good
One
idea.
accident and they'll close it.
Well, even before there's an accident, as that wharf gets more and more busy, they'll kick the kids off there.
Yeah, because
So
at the
maybe it
moment
is
they're
a-
standing on a bloody pipe and with wet feet jumping off the rail.
I've got video of it. I filmed it last week myself.
Are they doing the same off the fishing club?
Yeah, they jump off the roof.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. They're doing it on both walls.
They do it on both.
Yes, they do.
So maybe it's building it down a little bit further by the playground.
We've got all the picnic tables there, and all you need is a walkway down and a platform. It's nice and deep down there. You know, it's their risk if Darren's talking about the current. Well, you don't have to jump in the water.
Further discussion needed.
I'm a little bit stuck with it, but
Oh, well, keep working. You're doing it.
North Park toilets. I've sent a email to Gull Station. I didn't share it in case someone thought it was a PC. It's in my language. And I've got a supporting letter from KBA, so I've done that.
I was going to ask that, yeah. And no response, John?
I only did it yesterday.
Okay.
But basically, I just said to them I would have thought it would be
No brainer.
their reply as to why they didn't do it is their business strategy had changed. And I said, excuse me, I would have thought a nice little car park and a fully serviced set of toilets for your community that spend money with you would be your strategy in business and probably bring you income. So see what happens.
Yeah.
So the flags are a real problem, which you guys have heard in the past. We're not allowed to 2 flags because it's too strong. Apparently they could pull the post down.
And they're like proper
They're
ones.
200
holes in
grams.
them.
Yeah. But KBA are looking at
Who
having
makes those stupid rules? Because in other towns, they've got all sorts of.
our council. We couldn't put the reefs up this year because they're too heavy. They've
The
been
what up, sorry?
The reefs, the Christmas reefs.
Oh, you see
And
that?
we've had it for years. You know, they've been going up for 20 years.
It's ridiculous because like in Timaru, I see the pictures, they've got big angels sitting down off their things, much heavier than those reefs.
I don't know where to go with that. And what year did Guy come in? Was that his name?
Yeah.
What year did he come and sit with us in there and take all the information and say, this is ridiculous? Let me look at it.
If it was me, I would pay my own engineer or whatever, find somebody and pay them to go and independently work out what the loading would be on that and then just go to the council and say, you're wrong.
She's made a stupid decision.
So what happens, I've been told about this, so what happens is the LITEC specialist, the man who deals with the lights, the poles, his name's Aaron Riley, and he gets an engineer to review the engineering of every single one, and then they tried to put a red and an extra 200 grams of flag, and he said, no, you can't have that, and you asked for 20 and you're putting up 30 when it's the same pole design, and so he fully declined the KBA to put up the signs before Christmas. So that's why KBA had spent all this money on these Christmas decorations and were declined by a staff member that they couldn't put them up. This, and I'm not making this up.
Well,
I'm just bringing it up again because I just think it's absolutely ridiculous. And now they're looking at funding their own supports. And I'm just like, really?
John, wouldn't it be better just to get an independent engineer to engineer one of them? Just say, this poll can sustain this, do it, blah, 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 and take it back, because
No, what I think is we need to do an RFS to have a Teams meeting with Mr. Riley in advance of the Christmas season, so this doesn't happen ever again.
they might want to do it for something else, not just
Or
Christmas.
Well, they are talking, they're too, we want to design some for Matariki,
Yeah,
so.
we just need to meet with him in advance.
Let's write that
because
down.
it's been made way too difficult than it needs to be.
So is Aaron Riley, is he back with FNDC or has he stayed with the NTA and all the rail? So,
Well, we're not part of that, so he would have to be,
is he back in?
he would have to be in-house.
Whoever it is, don't, never mind the name, just the position.
The position, yes. It's the lighting person.
So, I mean, that's a ridiculous rule.
It's not even.
And so why is the council, who employs a CEO, not telling the CEO to get something done?
And then with the other problem is top energy don't really need the council involved because they go along there at 3 o'clock in the morning, put these things up for nothing. As soon as the council hears anything, we need traffic control, so, and then top energy, we're staying out of that.
Yeah.
We're not going to do it if they're doing it as a favour.
And these are the things we need to bring up with the Rob Gilmore, the independent engineer, because there's a lot of rules that are brought up and they're just bureaucracy, sake of bureaucracy. It's not actually having any good outcomes for me.
Well, it's going to cost a fortune if we have to go, KVA have to go down the track of changing all of the flags, changing all of the structures for the flags to go on.
Well, Rachel's right, get an engineer to do, to say, yep, this is safe, and then just go out at midnight and do it.
Yeah.
With the roading department.
Yep.
Sorry.
He's only up to number 5.
Yeah. I hadn't counted them. I had a CBEC meeting last week, and that's a community board exec, and I've got a document that I've selected our experience campaigners here to hopefully read it for me. Adele and Cheryl. So what they've been working on is a relationship guide. So what happened is the CBEC group contracted a company called Frank Advice to do a survey with community board members and mayors throughout New Zealand. And then they've been working on a relationship guide between council and community board members. And it's sort of like I don't know where it's going, but it's like an agreement as to, because a lot of the community boards around New Zealand have sort of felt like they're not connected with council and they're being left alone in certain things and not listened to and blah, 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 blah. So I've got a draft of that, and it's very, very, to me, it's a good read. It's basic stuff but I've been asked to share it with a couple of members and get advice around any response, and I wanted to Adele and Cheryl will do that for me. Thank you. That's me.
Thank you. And before we go any further for any other members' reports, our verbal reports, we've got Robin here who has been waiting patiently to Robin Wilson to do an informal ring photo reserve update. Thank you, Robin.
Hello, everyone, fellow councillors and community board members. I'm here partly because I started the year off with some visits to the other community boards and council, and I didn't seem to have any other reason to come up here, so I thought I'd just make it.
Can you just sort of speak up a little?
Oh, sorry, I thought I'd just come in and say, I'll come forward even.
Yeah.
About that.
Come and join us at the time.
Yes. So I just made an excuse, but I did have I will be doing a couple of site visits this afternoon, so I thought I'd come up and see you. So very quickly, Rangitoto Reserve now has a terms of reference for the reserve working party for the reserve management plan that has been signed by Ngāti Rua Iti, and I'm hoping to get that signing by Mata Rahu, and it also has oversight from Ngāti Kahu ki Whangaroa. So it took a wee while to get that all together, but it's now that's moving forward. We have some engagement messages that have been prepared by Waiawa Marae, and I'll be running those past our comms person this afternoon. So there'll just be a little bit more agreement with all parties, and then we should be able to start advertising that. I won't try saying 1 month, we'll say 2 to 3 months should be well within that time. So that's Rangitoto. Did anyone have any questions? Otherwise, I was just going to run over a couple of other projects.
Does any public access to that reserve?
No, not at this time, and Hapu don't necessarily want public access. There is low tide access. There is theoretically access from, if you arrive by boat across the water from Monganui, there's a network of unformed legal roads. You know, there could be a great recreational opportunity there, but there is no car access to the site, and I don't think that the reserve management plan is going to will necessarily create that or even signal that.
Or possibly some walking access to it.
Yes, well, walking access can be at low tide. People do visit. The other side, the unformed roads don't connect with a formed road, but they do connect with the water.
Yeah, right.
So I just think that could be a recreational opportunity, but whether, I'm not sure how that will come out in the wash.
Nobody in their right mind would go there for a recreational opportunity, because what we want, because there's a whole doubt Spain to go to.
Yeah.
Essentially what we need to do is protect history of it.
Yes, absolutely. I think anyone going there needs to understand the site and needs to go there with reverence, but I think there are people who are interested in walking there. The views, the views all around that area are amazing, but the views from Rangitoto are amazing. I think it's pretty breathtaking, and there will be some people who are interested.
I just wanted to ask about the weed control. Is that started, that management? Or?
Yes, it has started, and there have been several follow-ups. I don't have an update except that I know that the contractor was on there a week or two back.
Good. Because I've been out there paddling, and I know they had spray, the drone spray down at the water's edge.
Victoria Necki was mostly doing the, down to the ground organisation on that, but I know that they had to do some quite different methods because it is a tricky site because of the landform and the heritage and all of that. But I think she has been very happy with what has taken place. So I believe it's been following all the guidelines. Okay.
So what else?
So titles. Final District Council had a number of parcels of land that didn't have title. We've got 9 out of the 10 in Kaitaia, 24 out of the 26 that we identified as missing in Whangaroa. So these are the earlier constituent councils, and we have yet to source the titles for Monganui, and some of those missing ones will require a bit more work to get title. And what that essentially means is Lynn's records are corrected and it's visible through mapping where we own land, which has been or when land is vested with council, I should say, and it just makes it more visible to everyone and helpful for operations staff. Another other projects kind of in the policy area, we're doing a review of the encroachments policy, or we're not doing it, but the compliance team is doing an encroachment policy review, but obviously that extends into another departments. We're also looking at how licences to occupy and easements work, just with the, first of all, legal services used to run that process. They don't anymore, and just with the restructure, we kind of need to reorganise, because sometimes things are bouncing around a bit before they find a home. And lastly, there's some work going on again, interdepartmental, about co-management of reserves, and we have an options paper that's been prepared to go to seek guidance from the senior leadership team. I don't know quite where that will end up, but at this time, that's the first step. We'll put these issues to senior leadership team and see where they recommend we move from there. So that's me.
Oh, thank you for the update.
Well, that's all good. Look, I am available. You should know how to contact me. Obviously, a lot of your operational stuff is through Victoria Neki, but there might be queries in my area, and I'm happy to answer them when I can.
Oh, thank you so much, Robin.
Can I ask a question about who does the easement process for reserves if it's not legal?
So I manage the process and then hand it over to legal, but fairly obviously I need to get guidance as the process goes through. So, for example, Carla or someone else is normally a co-author on any reports that go out, but I do the Reserves Act work, make a recommendation about whether public notification is required or not. If public notification is required, that will generally sit with me, but then the legal processes themselves will sit with legal services. I mean, obviously we all work together, and I let them know what is coming and where it's up to.
And I had a second question about budgets for the delineation of public to private land, like putting bollards or fences, or I don't know what the policy is, because lots of people use reserves and it looks like their land and they mow it and it looks like their lawn. They do that on purpose because they don't want the public really to use it. Is there a budget that we have, or is there?
No.
What is council's approach to that?
Okay, well, the encroachments, so the encroachments policy and also the parks and reserves policy says you're not allowed to use the land as if it's your own. We do tolerate a degree of management, partly because we can have lots of bits of Western reserve where we can't manage it, or where it's not feasible or cost effective for us to manage it. So there's a bit of a balancing act there. In terms of resource consents, I often ask for the boundary to be delineated. So if something is happening, it's the owners who do that. There's one at the Russell at the moment where they're building a bit close to the boundary, and it's like, well, we can tolerate that if the boundary is well marked. So those are the sorts of things that we work with, but no budget. But Victoria would probably try and find something where it was a critical reserve asset.
Kia ora, sorry. About Moringaihe, which is now going to be designated as a historic reserve. I saw a report in council the other day in the open resolutions that they weren't in favour of bollards, but I am, because otherwise, there are people just going to drive up and park up, etc., etc. And the other part of that was really wanting to tidy up the co-management committee, especially there's a new term coming up. And I do worry that, it's, at the moment it's kind of really casual.
Okay, well, I haven't had anything to do with that particular site, but it is on the list of sites that's included in the co-management report. I don't know the nature of the restrictions on the site, but I have dealt with heritage reserves where rather than bollards you use rocks or kind of bollards set
concrete or whatever, so I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I can't
thank you.
talk to the specifics of it.
Because I look at the Taipa area that, you know, I can't remember the name offhand, of that reserve where the hapu have actually put the bollards around, they mow the grass. It's absolutely beautiful. You know what I mean? And it is on the waterfront, which, So I didn't realise that about rocks. That sounds good.
If we want bollards, we can just put in our request to put bollards there.
Yeah. And
There's a bins, benches, bollards budget that the operational staff decide on every year. We just do it through the CEO.
That's great, although I know it's not a big budget, but he's got your priorities there.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you for your time.
I'll go next.
Yes, okay.
Okay, I put my reports through, but somehow it didn't get there. But I did a lot of them over Christmas, but I won't read them all. But one happened right after our last meeting on the 18th to the 12th. I put an RFS into City Care to go and clean up a fire hazard around the Pukenui petrol pump at the commercial wharf. It was long, dry, dead grass, heaps of rubbish. Anyway, it didn't get done until about a week ago. And now they've done a great job. That's all done. And neither were our lawns mowed up there until a couple of weeks ago. And it was the same down here. We had long grass for all our car parks and it wasn't good. Okay, then the next.
It's been mowed now?
Sorry?
It's been mowed now?
They're going up. I just saw some mowers going up today. They were mowed about 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago, but it was well after Christmas. It wasn't tidy at the time it needed to be tidy.
When is the reserve? When are the contract people for the reserves coming to speak to the board?
I don't know. I followed up with the mayor yesterday that we need to see a contract for City Care and see what the levels of service are, because I've got a feeling that the contract has just been rolled over and none of our workshops that we had with staff have been put into the new contract.
And I've also asked about the spraying frequency and what's in the contract for that, and I've just been ignored.
Yeah, but they talk a good game when they come to see us.
But then they'll only do what's on their contract.
Yes, well, that's right.
Why don't we relodge the RFS for a fourth time? Still open. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we get them here? Why don't we relodge an RFS?
Well, won't we have the contract? Don't we have the council have the contract?
Yes. And they do share them. They share the rec services contract with all the boards.
Yeah. So
I can't see any reason why they can't share the City Care contract with boards. So
the levels of service
and the levels of service. That's right.
Try again.
It's so frustrating.
Well, what I notice, and it drives me crazy, is driving past bits where they've gone and mowed bits, but then they look like your culvert, and then these kind of carrot grass up here.
Yeah, either spray it or weed eat it or something.
So Darren,
I've got another one. Somehow I don't know how it came, but it came out of APARA for me, but that's probably your area. But this chap who's known, it was a angry query against recycling. So I contacted Darren Shanks, and Darren rang me, and I know Darren quite well, and he explained that they don't. It looks like everything's just chucked into the back of a truck as it goes past, but they do what they call mix and mingle sorting when they get back to Kaitaia. So he rang this guy, Ross Masters. I don't know if he's been a problem to us before, but he's been a problem to Darren for years. So he rang him and explained the situation and calmed it all down. He's invited me to go and look at the system at Kaitaia. So I'm going to go and watch it one day. So that was that one sorted.
Exciting.
Yeah. And the other, I've had a few other ones, but the next important one was we desperately need a maintenance spray on our Hughes Road walking track. It's starting to grow. We've had sporadic rain and heat, and not as much traffic on the track this year as we normally get, because the camping ground's nowhere near as busy as normal because of illness. There's waves of illness swept through the camp this year. real bad sick. And I had Elizabeth Stacey up to look at 3 crucial footpathing issues in Pukenui. 2 we probably can fix, and the 3rd one we probably can't. But she's working on that. And that's all my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Have you looked an RFS about the Pukenui needing a spray?
Yes.
Can I just add something to Darren's? I thought he might bring it up. Just so it's, we represent the community, and just recently I've been getting phone calls. We've got a gang presence up here, and it's growing. And Darren's had instances in his area, and I've just noticed, because I'm right by the car park, I'm starting to get late visitors into there now. They don't stay long. I've been watching, and then they go. And you can, doesn't take much to work out what they're doing. So just in general, you might start getting queries from your areas. In all instances that I've had, I've said, go and see the police. And some of those have been all sorted already. But just to let everyone know that there's a gang presence up here at the moment. And Pukenui only just sort of, I hope it's not starting, but it's there.
Who? Black or red or what?
KBs.
KBs?
Yeah.
Killer bees.
Oh my God. They got bikes.
Yeah.
Bill's got swords.
Yeah, exactly.
Rachel.
Yep, just working with the school, and also off to Wellington next week for the LGNZ conference that John nominated me for. So,
Way to go, Ray.
Good on you, Don.
and the lady said, because you're there on the Thursday, would you like to stay for the Friday one as well? And it's like, well, if I'm there and I can still get back that same day, I will. So praying my flights all line up. And that one's on rural, on the one on the Friday is on the rural sector. So it's actually meant to be for mayors and stuff, and then there'll be me. So,
There's a couple on that community board members going from our CBEC group.
the Friday one.
Not sure which one. Definitely, sorry.
Yeah. They didn't know if the community board members could go on the Friday one because it wasn't really for that, but they've said yes. So anyway, I'm going on that. And then, and on the one on the Thursday, so I'll report back. And it was on, the one on the Thursday is on accountability and spending and holding the councils accountable for where ratepayer money goes and stuff, wasn't it, John?
Yeah.
So that'd be interesting. I'll send back a report on that.
Thank you, Rachel.
That's me, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, just briefly, John, what's his name, Joe Clark from Wilton Regional Council got in touch with me. I was on the South Island regarding a meeting with Minister Andrew Hogarth at Rangeford regarding Madagascar redwood, which is a really invasive weed, which is taking over lots of areas, particularly in Rangeford area and in the Akuri Peninsula. So I wasn't there, so my daughter-in-law, Julie-Ann Bainbridge, went, and she's done a report which I'm going to include in the next agenda because we need to, April. No central government plan. We need a central government plan how to address this weed because it's so invasive that it needs a multi-agency working group to develop a strategy on it. And at the moment, the meeting was held at Landcorp, who are government-funded. Part of some of the adjoining owners to these properties where there's an issue is DOC, who doesn't maintain its weeds. And so the farmers are not looking, there were a lot of people from different organisations, farmers are not looking for a handout. What they want is a bit of action from NRC as well, saying go and see them, perhaps this is the problem, this is what you can do about it, but it needs to be on the pest control category first. But I will do a written report so that it's there and so that we as a board can make a recommendation to NRC that they list it and do something about it more than they're doing now. Thank you. That's all. But the only other things, I just want to make sure that we do get this bylaw discussion for the drainage committee. We need discussion on bylaws, and we need to know why bylaw letters are not going out and when they were going on. And the other thing is, I don't know whether Catherine's still here, we get these funding applications. We used to get a one-pager showing all the funds that we've granted during the past year. That's a handy thing to have. I don't know how hard it is to get it included in future agendas. Thank you.
Yes, so there's a few things happening. I just had a question for Cheryl on her one. Has Regional Council included is it called Madagascar ragwort? It's the one with that pest plant. Did they include it as a pest?
No, they haven't yet, and that's what needs to happen.
Yes, so, and what was their rationale for that?
They don't have a rationale for that thing. Same as they don't for monkey apple trees. So what I'd like to do is for the board to make a recommendation that it is included.
I'm happy to go to the Northern Regional Council and do a deputation to the council about that.
Well, Julianne's done a whole lot
like
of
me to
stuff.
support her. Yeah.
I
think that's really important. I've got it on the Kaingaroa farm as well as the farm here in town.
really sticky.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's really prolific, and you have to pull it out by hand.
Yeah.
And what is it?
Spray resistant.
Yeah, spray resistant, and once it actually
And it's wind blowing, and
it's a
I seem
gravel.
to have some trouble understanding that it is wind blown. So I'll send you Julianne's report in the meantime, but I do want to include it on the future agenda so that we can formally do something as a board as well.
But I would suggest that we do a deputation to the regional council, and I'm happy to go and speak for it.
That would be great.
Because
Julianne with you.
yeah, I was away in Waitangi when that meeting happened, or I would have attended. So just on other matters that we've been doing, is the board aware that there will be 11.3% rate rise?
Oh, yeah. Fiona told me. I shouldn't have to learn it from Fiona, actually.
So the council voted on that last week, and it's not going.
Magic 5 million come out of the tree again.
So
that where it came from.
That includes the final folding subsidy as well.
Oh wow.
It was I think 18%, and it was dropped down to 11 point.
That's a big rate increase.
And that is on the general rate. That does not include targeted rates.
That's right.
And there hasn't been a rating methodology of, so that people can know what their rates might be, presented to ratepayers. So we had a number of workshops about it. Hilda and I both voted against the significant increase. To get that lower than 11.3, it would have meant that we had to reduce levels of service. So we would have actually had to cut costs. And we did suggest certain reductions, but they would supported by 6 people in the council.
But are you looking at what has to be done as opposed to the nice to haves? Because I don't think that we're doing that.
So that definitely was brought up, and I had a list, I think, of 8 things to reduce, and not saying that, nobody wants to reduce services, nobody wants to decrease numbers of staff. The thing is that the ratepayers have to pay at the end of the day, and I think my job here is to represent those people that have to pay. By Hilda as well, I'm sure might have something to say.
So it's very clear, for example, we're not having enough monitoring done, but on the other hand, there's climate change stuff which is not essential in my opinion.
I did bring up the duplication of what the regional council does for climate change, and isn't that a regional council function or a district council function? I didn't get a response from that, apart from a disagreement about it being a core function as part of the significant engagement policy from another elected member. So I said I disagree with that.
Perhaps I need to talk to Simeon Brown.
So just giving you some background on that, I'm not sure what the rates amount will be. To make any decisions on council, you need 6 votes. 3 councillors voted against it and said they wanted public notification for the public to go out.
Furious.
But we're not going out for public notification. We're not going out for consultation with the public about how they feel about 11.
Are you going to be prepared for the outcome when they
So
find
they're just
out?
going to say, bang, your rate's 11%.
Correct.
Correct. When was our last rate rise?
Last year.
Was 4.5%.
So really, you said we were going to come down from 16 or whatever it was to 4.5, and now you're going to bang it up 11. So you're back at your 16, really.
Yeah.
And if people understand rating, then they'll also understand that a percentage of the general rate, people, because we have a land-based rating system, rural people will pay more of that percentage of the 11.3 increase as a dollar value because of it being a land-based rating system, not based on capital value.
We have
We don't get anything in the larger land areas.
That's just the way our rating system is currently. So I'm just making the board aware.
and that is
Understand.
kind of you. Won't
Yeah.
keep the messenger.
No, especially when you.
But essentially, it's just another area where, for example, the dairy industry that brings in the most overseas income is being penalised again because they've got a big bit of land that they work night and day off.
So the public might be shocked about that. Just letting you know.
Yeah.
I thought it was a big number, obviously. I thought it was so, and the public will not be consulted about it.
Obviously, what we get, all the, what we get from.
They're just going to hide like little.
What I get from my representation, my community, all the time is, well, what the hell do I get for it?
Correct.
You know, and I was just talking about it before, about quality of services and stuff like that. If we're always going backwards there, you can see why the public just say, I'm paying for nothing, you know, and that's their legitimate,
Okay, you'll be paying 11%
argument.
more for
Yeah,
nothing.
exactly. If
But
you
it'll
can't,
cost everyone because some landlords, all they do is put up their commercial rates.
mate, you know that, yeah.
And then some tenants pay the rates.
What about
As part of their-
pensioners?
as
Like
part of
their
their
rates are forcing them out of their
lease.
homes.
Yeah.
Literally.
The rates are cold.
But anyway, for lots of
Yeah, thank you, Kirsty.
So,
Bye.
not a dictatorship. We all get a vote, but not everyone gets their 6 votes to change anything. So that was a significant thing that happened. I'm in the reforms portfolio, and there's been quite a few reforms happening. One of the ones that we're actually asking something different for is for the insulation, the H1 review. They often talk about insulation, but it's actually the provision of the Building Act that is about energy efficiency. And so as part of that review, we've looked at our climate maps, and Northland, as you probably know from living here, is a lot warmer than in Auckland. And so the NIWA maps actually demonstrate that. And there's a really great diagram that shows how much warmer we are, particularly here. And so Hilda's also on the reforms portfolio that I'm having a meeting about it tomorrow morning, and then on Thursday we're having a catch up about it. What we're proposing is having our own zone, because we're not the same as Auckland. We're a lot warmer, we have a lot longer summer hours, and actually in terms of energy efficiency, in terms of the amount of money we spend, we could spend that on solar panels. And because we have the highest power cost in the whole country as well, and one of the highest levels of social deprivation, I'm sure that our whānau would like to spend money on solar panels instead of glazing or insulation when they can put that directly into the capital cost of building a new home. So,
just curious, when it is publicly notified that the rate increase is 11.5%, how are you going to justify that?
am I going to?
How is the council going to justify that?
I'm sure that we'll talk about 2.4%, what's that, inflation rates on top of that.
And interest.
And an interest rate which could have taken it under 10%. And I don't know, there'll be a kōrero. Yeah, but like you say, if it had been spread out evenly over 2 years, it would have been 8%. But, you know, it is what it is.
It drops back down next year in the long-term plan.
Yeah.
But this year was a spike. But then my rationale will be, why don't we push it out and even it? So next year, but anyway, I lost the vote. So anyway, so
Talk about the spatial planning, and I did ask those questions why they, yeah.
So that was what was happening with the reform stuff that we've got, and then free waters. That's another reform that's happening, and I did talk about the drainage because I thought probably a good time that we look at not doing that if it's going to be potentially a CCO with all three Northern councils maybe.
Well, it can't manage it any worse, so what the hell?
And with the spatial planning, I almost fell off my chair when I heard the cost of $200 million for the infrastructure for Waipapa Kirikiri area. It was proposed in some of the prior meetings that it be paid for from the general rate.
Yeah.
And I said, well, we've had no meetings whatsoever that you're asking the Hiku community to pay for the new infrastructure for Waipapa Kirikiri. It's like an hour and a half away. And we've got our own growth to pay for. So there's definitely discussions with what was proposed from the consultants and also about the actual numbers. I haven't seen any public articles or public discussions about this, and it's not just an issue isolated to Kirikiri because this is the biggest spend we've ever had on infrastructure, and it's huge risk to our council and our ratepayers because of that.
What sort of infrastructure are you looking at down there?
Sewage, water, stormwater, road and roading.
But you can see from this agenda that in Cooper's Beach we're getting 3 new road names because of development down there. So we'd be wanting to pay for our own, I would imagine.
Yes.
It's huge too. It was huge.
Yes, so the consultants did advocate for its money being paid for from the general rate. Obviously, there was strong discussion about that not being supported and that people should pay for their own infrastructure from the target rate. So the final paper comes to the next council meeting, I think. But also the public should be made aware up here about those risks of such huge costs over the next.
So why aren't we going back to reserves contributions and developers paying for their own footpaths and things like that?
Financial contributions chapter is proposed to be part of the new district plan, which is a different instrument to development contributions and local government Act. But with the three waters infrastructure, if we go to a CCO, it won't be council anyway. It'll be the CCO like water care is that will charge for a connection back. And in Auckland, it's like $50,000 to connect. It's not a small amount, but in saying that, also effluent disposal is about 30,000. So,
positive news.
So I don't know. So I've got some positive things to say there. Big contracts. The other big contract coming up in the next year is our road contract. So I think that's a good thing. You've raised a lot of frustrations there.
Yeah.
Rob is fantastic in his job.
Yeah.
We have done something to try and fix it. It's called the procurement panel. And Rob has been really instrumental in doing that, as well as Steve in our roading portfolio. He's been doing a great job. So
will the procurement panel look at the quote, like the costs that come in, and then say, why are we giving a contract to this company that's 6 times the price of this one?
No, what the panel does is we've already done the procurement assessment and the audit pro, and we've tiered it into complex, high complex, medium complex, low complex jobs, so that we can actually go directly to each tier for the different complexity of jobs. But for some reason, there were some issues as part of that procurement process, and Ventia was not part of the tier 1 aspect. So that will be a result, because obviously Ventia, being our roading contract company for the southern area, should be part of that. So there's already issues there that our CEO is sorting, and he's been doing really well to improve the competitiveness of the contractors, so that the lower contractors can actually be upskilled to get the jobs locally. And as well, in the new contract, if we can actually pull out different aspects of the contract to not be part of the lump sum is the other aspect. For example, the culvert cleaning bill. Fantastic example. Spraying of the weeds, doing the vegetation clearance. Does that actually have to be part of the lump sum contract? So in summary, we are doing things. It's 100% not as fast as I'd like. It's very frustrating how slow the council move. But I think we are getting there with our new CEO.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Right. Oh, kia ora. Just be quick, I hope. Airport, looking forward to putting some shakers on that one because it's looking pretty shabby. But now that lease is signed, apparently there's going to be some sort of trust worked out by May or something. But in the meantime, council is still the, in charge of the airport, and it is looking pretty shabby. There's no other word for it. And so there's funding that's going to come across. So I'm looking forward to seeing, better things happen, like the, the runways need resealing and drainage improvements. The other thing I kind of like, I think there could be a role, Felicity, for both Far North Holdings and some of the part of the, servicing of the airport. But I also like KCA, Kaitaia Community Airport, because they are doing a lot of work with the, medical rescue planes and stuff. And I just think they've got a more hands-on approach. But that's another story. And, of course, think about Peter Kitchen, who had a lot to do with that. Yeah. And I know that we have a Te Oneroa Tohe meeting. I'm not sure if it's this week or next week, but there was a request for small planes exercise to land on the beach, and it was declined because of, I think, because of the damage to the kaimoana, but also there's been lots of complaints about bikers and speeding up and down and dangerous, and some people are calling for people to be arrested, using the cops to come in and fine people for speeding along the beach. I was interested, Mahiatai is the name of the land block in Taipa, the one that's well kept by the local hapu there. Sorry, I forgot the name before. Lake Ohia came up in the council meeting, and I think it was really good that they spoke to the community board. And did it come up somewhere, or was it just in your report?
Discussion, and that's the longest we've ever had in a discussion on community board matters in the council meeting. We got for about 20 minutes.
So that seemed to get a lot of good rethinking around, like taking whatever the original recommendation was to what the actual community put forward, which was cheaper. I don't know how much they had put aside, but the community resolution was far more workable and was up there in $1 million. And I think their one was about $50,000 needing a support. So that was good. The treaty principles has been a big thing. I'm just over it, but so that's had a lot of feedback, of course, and even at Waitangi amongst all of the iwi of Tai Tuketo. But other than that, in our Kuaka Māori committee, we did have Harry Burkhardt, who was our chair, but because of health reasons, he's had to step down. And so that means that will be, until they vote another person in around about April, it'll be either Pitatipini or Toa Vaniva, Vani filling in that role. But Harry's done a really good job, but, he's actually cut back on a lot of other stuff. That's all I've got to say. Oh, and I really like the Hokianga Roading Committee that have been, working on the big slips out there, which is Motuti, Pangaru, then Pawaringa, and then Whangapi, which are, all part of the Gabriel slips. But they look like they'll be addressed by, should be all finished by hopefully this year before the next election. That's all I got to say. Kia ora.
Thank you so much, everybody. Not in what I really need to say, but just including different issues. So, effectively now, it's all in favour. And we'll just go to the last one, which is the open resolution. I believe it's the second page. Right, and have you added? Yeah.
First one is members request the report come to the Terrific Community Board for all policies as well as a report for all financials. The response is property asset information booklet was provided at the end of the year that got sent out to councillors and CV chairs, which included financial and non-financial information. Would you please resolve once again that members request that a report comes to the community board? That's one to other people, not us. We've got the delegation.
We've got that report, though, Ada.
Did you send it on?
No.
No, you didn't, but because it's not for you, we have asked for one staff.
You've got the report. I think you have got that one.
I'm not aware of any figures of depreciation per horse. All the things we'll be asking for from any funds.
Oh,
Notes from the town.
When was this booklet sent out? I'm not aware of a booklet that I've ever received. Did we receive it?
No, we'll get it on the next agenda.
May have, I can't remember.
So the same with this, I've already asked you about drainage and bylaws and things for that. That's on the report. That's in there, isn't it?
Yep, and John's done the toilet.
hopefully.
Well, you've done what we asked and that
I
was
can't
that
believe the
letter.
plans, they're immaculate. It's wonderful. The plans of that North Park toilet that was meant to go in looks fantastic.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of money, that's what I also said in the letter, how much money has been spent planning for it. And why do you want us to do it all again? And otherwise I'll get Bill once or Cheryl.
So if we can't have that site, then we're going to ask Elizabeth Stacey to tell us where in the road reserve we can put it.
Yeah, and so we also need a report on the last one, which is there's no money allocated to footpaths. Why didn't the NCTA give us any money this year?
Spending on a pothole, I guess.
Okay. It's just that we want an update on that too. But Elizabeth comes from,
We haven't decided on it. We haven't had the transport meeting yet where we decide on the budget. In our December meeting, we made a decision on a whole lot of things, but not the footpaths yet because we made
don't even know if they've included in the annual plan either.
We haven't had a transport meeting.
Right.
All in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. So we're just going to close it for here.
Thank you. Thanks, Adele. Kia tau tōrangi Māori te ruranga I ngā iwi o te ao. Let your peace reign on everyone. Thank you for the people in this room, for caring for our communities. We pray a blessing, safety over everyone as they go about their business. In Jesus' name, amen.
Okay.
Apologies, no, it's a lot of things.
You do it all the time.
No, it makes sense. Yes.